where we've been. And all I know is that if you can't find me, you may never want to find me again. Cause people don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night, and we are here to ready and rock, and all that other stuff that I said probably backwards. But we are here for another episode. Episode was it 13 now of the Barroom Podcast. We've kept this up for 3 months, and with mostly the same group of people outside of a couple of people here too. You're pretty proud of yourselves. We've actually got a little thing going here, some consistency.
We held it together.
Yeah, the whole thing hasn't fallen apart. We haven't started like stabbing each other yet and all that good stuff. So we're here with another episode of the Barroom Podcast. I do want to go ahead and just let you guys know right off the bat that apparently last night's show there was an issue with the YouTube notifications going off. And like I can only account to just the way that YouTube is sometimes. So if you guys have already subscribed, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. And then, of course, go ahead and if you're watching us now, go ahead and like the video so it can spread to other people so we can all watch it. But we are back here.
Did YouTube inform you that YouTube itself didn't do its job by actually sending out the notifications like it typically does to me?
No, what happened was it was about 20 minutes into the show, and then Spencer joined us, and he was like, oh, yeah, I never got the notification that you guys were live. Then I noticed that our attendance was a little light on the YouTube side, but on Twitter, we blew up. Like on Twitter, we had almost like 200 people on last night's show, but YouTube, it was almost like a ghost town. So something happened with the notifications that kind of screwed everything up. So
it kills me when YouTube informs me that it didn't do what it was supposed to do with sending out notifications. It's almost astounding. It's like,
shocking.
I didn't do the job, and it's like, you're fucking fired, YouTube. Thank you.
No, they're like the government. When you stay around forever.
When you say Twitter, you mean Twitch, right?
No, Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. we're live on all three. So we're live on Twitter, Twitch, and on YouTube. So yeah, last night we had like almost 200 people watching our movie review. But like I said, YouTube is a completely different story, like almost a ghost town. So you got to work around YouTube sometimes because they have some rules that are I like to call bullshit, but that's just the way that they are.
Yeah. But I will say, like, I was actually watching for a little bit because I watched the trailer for the movie that you guys were talking about, and I was like, oh, that sounds unique. But I don't know if I want to watch it.
It's a lot of deconstruction. So I mean, if you like that and you can hang in there with that, I would recommend it, I guess. But it was a lot of busyness with not much content, so it was disappointing.
Okay.
Yeah, it deconstructed so far, it almost forgot to be an entertaining movie. So that's the way they usually go here. So we got some familiar faces who are back with us once again. Speaking of very familiar faces, C.S. Johnson, who has, I think this is the first time you've actually shown your face on our podcast before. So you actually graced us with your presence. How are you doing tonight?
Yes, I needed to show the physical proof that I'm getting CJ drunk. So.
Oh, yeah. The dairy is in play, just in case you guys didn't know. Huh?
Yep.
And then, of course, we have Cold Classic Cage, Miss Cassie, who's back with us once again. How you doing today, Cassie?
Everything's good. Destroy All Humans 2 remake came out, or reprobed, and I'm probing anuses like crazy specifically because the journalists that reviewed the game and shit on it just because they thought that probing anuses was offensive, they took offense to that and gave it a shit review. So in their honor, I'm making sure to anally probe as many people and destroy all humans as possible.
Oh yeah, I saw your gameplay. You what was the old grade school grade they used to give you needs improvement when they don't want to give you like a D, and they want to make you protect your feelings until you get to middle school. So you're working on it. Yeah. And then first time guest that we have on the show tonight, Mr. Paul Hare. How you doing today, man?
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, you hit me up earlier today when we were doing some work for Bounding, and it was like, hey, if you want to come on the show and talk some, culture, some politics and whatnot, it's like, well, it just so happens I got a show tonight. You want to be on there? And it's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So I'm glad that you joined us for the show here tonight. How you doing, man?
Good, Jacob. It's good to be here. I don't know if you need any of my background or not. I guess I just started writing. Just started writing for Bounding Comics probably a few weeks ago. Before that,
Congrats.
Thank you very much. Before that, I did a lot of political writing. I am burned out of that. It doesn't accomplish anything anyway, so I don't do much of that anymore. And then I also write some fiction. Prior to that, I've done a bunch of other things in my life.
Yeah, no, the great thing about writing about entertainment is that you can still be passionate about it, but hate it just as much as politics. So you get the best of both worlds, you know? So.
Oh, yeah.
It is, but I the way I look at it, there's more to, at least you can have fun with entertainment as well. Politics, the only reason I wrote for that is because I wanted things to change, and then I found out later on that everybody else who writes about politics does not want things to, they don't want things to change. It's just a game to them. So
it's their bread and butter.
Well, we got a few people in the chat. I want to give a quick little shout out to Duke Nukem, who joined us last night. He's clearly, I guess he's white girl racist, just like Johnson is tonight, because I don't know what he's talking about, but he's here, so we appreciate your presence. And then, of course, Cassie's in the chat. And then somewhere in the boundings in the comic cellar, working on being an editor extraordinaire, Spencer is somewhere deep in the bowels of wherever the hell he is. And he says that Rob's review last night was positive enough that he made it interested in the movie. So I think he's trying to say is that he's actually shocked that you didn't hate the movie as much as he was expecting. So that may be a very subtle shot there at Mr. Rob Mott. I don't know what to say about that.
I think Spencer's been doing some drugs, so which is okay. It's fine. But I was not very positive on it, so I don't know what he's talking about, but that's like, okay, I appreciate that.
And then Mr. Osnod, who's in our chat tonight, said that he sounds like Earl Hefner, which I'm going to quote Kevin Hart in the 40-Year-Old Virgin. I don't know what that means. I'm going to take it as disrespect. So, so yeah, everyone who's in the chat with us tonight, he said it rather silly. He said no one reads. Fired. Sure, whatever you say, man.
Basically, you didn't wipe your ass with the movie, so just on that, he's interested.
Yep.
So
why would he? Really there's quick. A genie in it. There's a lot of sand in there.
So just randomly yesterday, I saw some trailer for a video game that I thought looked pretty good, and I found out it was the Saints Row game. I was like, okay, I give up. This is why I stopped playing video games, guys.
Oh my god. Yeah, you already have to deal with film trailers that to be honest aren't even good at selling a hope and a dream anymore. Like, funny enough.
Not at all. I mean, you know, I kind of miss the old school days of like 80s, 90s corny like trailers with like the voiceover guy when it's just like some guy who's like smoked like 40 cigarettes a day going in a world far, far away. It's like, I miss New Line Cinema, but you know that's a little bit for your nostalgia. But
well, that's what honest trailers are for anyway, because they have the epic movie guy voice.
Yeah, he's like literally like the only guy left at this point. So, but I mean, hey, let's go ahead and start off this one pretty hot, because this was a story that kind of exploded on Twitter over the weekend, and then we caught our eye. Like I said, even Rob is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll see this one. It's the story of actress Sydney Sweeney. Now, if you remember, this is the actress we talked about a few weeks back when she was talking about that despite being on like 2 hit shows on HBO, she doesn't get paid enough to I guess to pay off her $3 million home in Los Angeles, which, you know, should be an indication like, hey, maybe, I don't know, go somewhere else, maybe somewhere not as expensive where you can actually, you know, better utilize that money. We are in a recession here, but this was a crazy story. And then shout out to Spencer, who put this up for Bounding in the Comics for us. It's that she had her mother's 60th birthday over the weekend, and people just started slamming her and slamming her family based on some of the outfits that her family decided to wear during this event. So Madam Web, who's going to be in the future Madam Web movie, which is one of those like Spider-Verse offshoot type films coming out, had to rebuke online attacks calling her family racist because they were wearing certain things that triggered progressives on social media. So here's an actress right here from the show Euphoria, and The White Lotus, I believe, is the other show that she's on as well. She went to her family's home state of Idaho. I said Ohio last night on, well, not last night, a couple nights ago on a Culture Casino show, but it's not Idaho. It is Ohio. I mean, sorry, it's Idaho. Not see, I fucking did it again. Like, I knew I was gonna fucking do that.
I thought she's from Washington or something, but I guess it's Idaho.
Yeah, so Idaho, the other West Coast state that I'm surprised Rob isn't in right now because it's better than Washington. They went and celebrated her mother's 60th birthday, and they had kind of a hoedown theme party where everyone dressed up as cowboy hats and had boots on, and they made a big theme about it. Here's a couple of pictures on here. I think I might be able to play a little bit of this video unless there's like a music on it. I don't know music. We're good. So yeah, you can see her. She's having fun with like her family. There's nothing here that would be a red flag to anyone. Took a couple of pictures there. There's a picture of her and her brother. So you think to yourself, okay, she went and had a little celebration with her family. Why does anyone care about this, right?
It's just the country western. It's very I mean, it's corny as shit. No offense to anybody that likes it, but there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
But apparently there was something wrong with it because in a couple of pictures that were taken during the presentation, during the party, some of their family members were wearing MAGA-style parody hats that said, make 60 great again. Obviously, they did this as a way to kind of celebrate like the mother because she just turned 60. So they did a couple of MAGA parody hats and they wore them. And then people on Twitter, the progressives, thought that they were wearing real MAGA hats. And it was like, oh, no, she supports Trump. Well, then there was another photo that got posted where, assumingly this is her father. I'm not sure if this has been 100% confirmed or not, but her dad was wearing a Thin Blue Line t-shirt. And we all know Thin Blue Line is the shirt that people wear when you support law enforcement, you support your local police. So, of course, by wearing that t-shirt, everyone assumed that, oh, well, her family is racist and hates black people because they wore a pro-cop t-shirt. And this was literally the entire discourse of Twitter for like 24 hours. Her name trended on Twitter for like 2 days because people were saying, oh, I can't believe that her and her family is racist because they're wearing these items of clothing at a birthday celebration. So it got to a point where so many people were attacking her on social media that she had to come out and make a statement basically saying, you guys are, this is wild. An innocent celebration for my mom's 60th birthday has turned into an absurd political statement, which was not the intention. Please stop making assumptions. Much love to everyone. Happy birthday, Mom. Now, most people agreed that, okay, this is stupid, trying to turn this into a thing. But there were some people who were like, no, I'm upset. I'm going to double down and keep calling you guys racist. So here's a few tweets here from some questionable people saying that just say you're part of a racist family and move on. And another Twitter user who said that rich white people will make innocent and lighthearted jokes out of violent political dogma and symbolism because it does not affect them. I find that very ironic that you said that, but I'm going to keep going. The plight of oppression in marginalized groups is nothing more than a depressing post that we have to scroll past on their feed. It's like, okay, that sounds like a you problem. Here's another Twitter user say, nah, I can't support someone who has a racist family either. So keep in mind, we're talking about just because her dad wore a Thin Blue Line shirt. It's like, you're a racist now. And then this one, I think either Spencer or John caught this one. I did read it, but I didn't include it initially. But here's someone who had they, them in their pronouns, by the way, just so you know who they're talking about here. Saying, seeing Sydney Sweeney get jumped is beautiful. If you're white and unwilling to completely shame your parents for their conservative views, you're just as complicit and need to be escorted out. And then they went to continue, your love, quote unquote, for your parents being at the expense of marginalized people is fucked up. Hold that love while holding them accountable is one thing. Ignoring that shit and pretending it's not deep is another. Fuck her, period. So they had a whole lot of just very, very super bright people on social media that made a big stink about this whole thing. And the one thing that I think stood out to me was that you have all these people in this progressive, hyper left-wing circle that were all like, oh, we don't care if you're not, a conservative like your parents. You still need to denounce your parents in order to prove that you're an ally to us and things of that nature. It's like, so we've gone like full Marxist now. It's like, forget your parents. Your parents suck. Screw your family. It's all about what we say. Don't phase us whatsoever, or else we'll come after you and we'll destroy you. So I actually want to start off this one with Johnson because, well, you have a family and you may have some family members with some right-wing views. So imagine going to, I don't know, your mother's 60th birthday party, and because someone wears a Trump parody hat or a parody t-shirt, they all go, you need to immediately denounce every single member of your family as racist right now, unless you're not an ally. So what would you say to them, and what do you think about Twitter basically being Twitter, going after this poor, beautiful girl for absolutely nothing?
I've always said Twitter is just the real life version of 2 Minutes of Hate from 1984.
Yep.
Well, first of all, the progressive ideology doesn't allow for families, period. So it's no wonder that they devalue them and they don't understand the value of them. I mean, in its own, there's a lot of people out there with bad families. So you kind of, like, if you're going to have a good faith argument, it's like, yeah, maybe you have a point. Families aren't always perfect. But that doesn't mean that they're bad or they have no value or anything else. And asking somebody to throw theirs under the bus to satiate your ego is ridiculous. But again, I kind of expect that level of discourse from Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, I saw this like literally trend like as it was happening. It's like, have we really gotten to this point? And apparently we have. I'm thinking to myself, these people have absolutely no self-awareness whatsoever, that they're literally causing a stink and getting publicly upset because one of her family members may be a Trump supporter and she's not doing anything about it. It's like, do you guys listen to yourselves at all? Like, maybe they have their heads just so far up their own ass that there's just no oxygen that actually escapes to their brain. But it's just mind-blowing to me. Paul, you're obviously our new guest today. So what is kind of your thoughts on this whole thing?
This is why I'm not on Twitter right here. This is it.
Paul's a very smart man, ladies and gentlemen.
But my solution to all this has been is I no longer debate. I don't think debate has any point in our society anymore. I did have a suggestion to people, and nobody ever takes me up on it, is we need to start like a fight club for real for this. If you want to go after me, on social media, nope, not going to happen. However, if you want to meet up in real life, organize it, have somebody, a referee there, first aid, all that stuff there to fight in real life, I'm more than happy to do that. And I've been saying that half joking, half serious, but it's leaning more and more towards the serious part at this point in time. But in reality, too, another thing is, why do people put so much of their life on social media? I get it. She's a celebrity and she does that stuff too. And then the third thing I would say is I'm more than happy just to sit back and watch this. I think I've seen some of her comments in the past, and I don't think this is like, I don't think she's conservative from what I can tell. So I'm more than happy to sit back, and I would say I'd be happy to sit back and watch it, but I don't even care enough to watch it. I mostly just ignore it.
Well, I mentioned you've already broke the first rule of Fight Club, which is obviously we want to talk about Fight Club. Quick little shout out to BC real quick. Say couldn't join the live stream because he lost a family member. I did hear about that, and I'm sorry about your family. So definitely get our condolences to you.
Definitely, my condolences, man.
Yeah. Like I said, so I knew a little bit about Sydney going into it. I don't like the show Euphoria at all. I think it's just derivative garbage. And this is coming from someone who watched Degrassi. So when I call it derivative garbage, it actually holds a little bit of weight because I know a lot about garbage in my time. So the show itself is nothing to like write home about. But she does seem like she at least comes from like a somewhat decent family. I know I talked about this a few weeks back, how her and her family used to live in Washington, and then I guess they sold their home because they wanted to help her daughter, with her dream of being an actress and whatnot. And it led to a lot of like hardships. So dealing with kind of like the tough times, like her family kind of strengthened their bond a little bit, even though I don't believe their parents are still together anymore, but it's like she still has a very strong bond with her family, which obviously is something that's rare in and of itself of modern day Hollywood, because you don't really have people who come from like strong families. Even if they do have families in Hollywood, it's all dysfunctional. They got a lot of nepotism in Hollywood. So even if you do have a family unit, it's probably not the most healthiest one. But here you have a girl who's probably considered an outsider for the most part because she doesn't have any family in the business. She comes from obviously like Washington and Idaho and things of that nature. So it's this whole mindset of, like I say, you're either with us or against us 100%. And if you step out of line in any way, shape, or form, we're going to come after you. And Yeah, I just think of that. It's like, how can you sit there and unironically in your mind think that somehow you're the tolerant person when you're literally telling something to condemn their own fucking family over essentially a T-shirt, which is just absolutely insane to me. So, Rob, you're the closest one to the story, all the way out in Washington. What was your thoughts on this whole thing?
I really didn't have much of an opinion on Sydney Sweeney, even having seen the first season of Euphoria. And I would not describe her as conservative, considering the content of that show. But, whatever. People fit themselves in all sorts of boxes, whatever. I think Rick, on the show last night, Rick made a really great point that it feels like it's, like Chairman Mao, or it's very Soviet to sort of be like, you have to denounce your family because we're assuming they have views that, we're not okay with, we're not tolerant of. And it's sort of like, do you understand tolerant? Like, do you understand how, like, you're supposed to accept people regardless of their political view? Like, they're like, that's not a mark against their character. It's just who they're voting for at the ballot box in terms of, and the whole like left right thing. This is really what it comes down to. What is the role of government? Should government be more out of our lives, or more, sort of more regulating our lives on a daily basis? And that's really all that comes down to in terms of who you vote for, Democrat or Republican. And so it's just like, it's ridiculous how this gets extrapolated out to, oh, you're a racist because your dad supports his local law enforcement. And it's like, I'm no fan of cops or whatever, but it's just like they're a necessary evil. And, there's good cops, there's bad cops. Let's have a nuanced debate about that. But no, it's Twitter. And so that never happens. But yeah, when I saw it, I was like, this is a joke, and it was just people who take that shit seriously, I think suffer from severe mental illness.
Yeah, there was a movie you actually brought up when Rick was discussing that. It's a movie called Silence, which I know a couple of us have seen. And it's a movie that Martin Scorsese did a few years ago. And the whole idea is that you have these traveling group of priests who obviously believe in Christianity. They're going to, Japan, like back in I forget the exact century that they went there. But obviously being a Christian in that society was not allowed. So the only way that they can essentially live was to denounce their Christianity, denounce their faith. And it's like, okay, well, how much of a Christian are you? Are you going to essentially fold in order to conform yourself to this completely abhorrent society? Or are you going to actually stay true to your values, even if that possibly means your life? Now, obviously, like I said, these people like to envision themselves to be the heroes in their discussion. Like I said, these people are obsessed with superheroes, so they think that they're the Avengers and everybody else is just Hydra, who are the Nazis and whatnot. But it's like, no, like you said, this is straight up out of the Soviet playbook, like one-on-one what you guys are doing here. So, Cassie, I'll let you soak into this story. So, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
It's a funny story. I went to Knoebels this past weekend, and
I've been there. I'm sorry.
It's amazing. It's so amazing, right? But on the way there, so we were about 20 minutes away. We saw this individual walking down the street, and it was clearly a man dressed up as Ariel from The Little Mermaid. The dude literally had long red hair, the leggings that are reminiscent of the whole like mermaid coloring and whatnot. Big fucking gut with hair all over it and a full beard. And my dad, as he was driving, literally almost word for word said, "What the hell is even that?" And it's like, it's these same fucking people that are bitching about this that would say, if they saw that person walking down the street, "Slay queen, slay." It's these same fucking retarded people. And it's like, look, dude, for me personally, I'm my own local law enforcement. So it's not like I subscribe to anything that this individual's father supports by any means. But at the end of the day, people, of all different walks of life are going to have different opinions. You can debate with them, but to simply just say that, your family shouldn't even, associate with you. And if they do, we will shame you, the people that do, and all this. Like, it's such fucking loser mentality. These people don't know how to survive on their own. That's the thing when it comes down to it. They depend on the hive mind mentality. They're completely and totally dependent on having an entire group of people fucking screeching and whining like wailing banshees. That's their power, because by themselves they aren't capable of standing on their own 2 feet. They're fucking losers. And I'm always of the mind of mocking and shaming these people whenever possible. So fuck them. Like, if you aren't mature enough to simply accept the reality that there are people out there that aren't going to have the same mentality as you, then you, sir or ma'am, are not a fucking adult. Straight up. Yeah. And they need to be told this more often, because they don't hear it. Clearly, these are loser ass people that don't have family. They don't associate themselves with their family for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure their parents don't have the same belief system. I disagree with a lot of shit my parents believe in, and we avidly do debate about it. But at the end of the day, they're my parents.
Yeah.
Like, I love them whether they agree with me or disagree on certain political topics or not. These people, they live with like 50 of their fucking friends in a 3-bedroom apartment, and they're fucking miserable, and they want everyone else to be miserable because of it.
For what it's worth, I would say to my children that guy lost a bet. So.
That's the easiest way to getting around that whole conversation.
Yeah.
It works for my children, and it'll work for your dad. Oh, that guy, he just lost a bet, probably.
There's 2 things that I wanted to bring up here. One is kind of what Cassie just said right there, is that these people are miserable and they hate seeing people happy. Now, did you guys see this whole thing with Drew Barrymore, where she was just posting a TikTok where she's like literally outside, like having fun in the rain, and then like some woman comes up here talking about how somehow white people stole having fun in the rain from like black people, and it's like some like weirdo. It's like she's literally just outside in the rain. Like, how did you even make that correlation of like systematic oppression from like someone just running around with their fucking camera outside and like having fun? It's like you're literally just angry because that person's happy and you're not.
It's like, bro, not for nothing, the video with Drew Barrymore is weird, but it's like I have to completely discredit that, because this level of weirdness that was the reply is just on a whole other level of fucking weird. So like mild weirdness goes unchecked because there are mentally deranged people with a voice out here, unfortunately.
And they're all on TikTok. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up here is that, you know, in Hollywood, we always talk about this idea of like selling your soul for like money and fame and things of that nature. And look at the situation that you have here. You have a girl who essentially was just out having fun with her family, having a good time. And imagine being in a position where she may, for some reason, have to apologize for having fun with her own family, because the business that she's in is completely controlled by progressives and left-wing ideologues who are like, no, we can't let this slide. You have to come out and publicly denounce your own family, your own mother and father, cousins, whatever the case may be, or else, hey, you want to be on that HBO show? Well, you better go out there and publicly make a statement denouncing them, or you won't be on that show very long. So think about the mentality of having to choose between, okay, I have to come out against my family over something that's absolutely nonsensical, or else I could lose my career. And like I said, you have to draw that line in the sand. It's like, do I want to keep pulling this political game where I'm just going to keep solely selling my soul a little bit after time goes on, and next thing you know, I'm fucking ODing in the bathroom at the Four Seasons because, you know, my life is so completely wrecked? Or do you just simply say, no, I'm just not going to do it? Like I said, I don't think anyone here, if someone told you, oh, you have to denounce your family because they have political opinions that I don't agree with, no one's going to say yes to that. But if you're in an industry where they're holding 6 to 7 figures over your head and they're telling you to do it, that's when you have to make the decision. It's like, okay, do I really want to be a part of this industry anymore? Is it time to just walk away entirely? So I'll give you all you guys your final thoughts on this story before we go on.
Stop caving to these people. Because the more you cave, the more you give away, the less of yourself you'll retain, but also you'll end up losing anyway. So you might as well just stand your ground now while you still retain what makes you you as a person. Just
I
stay
just
true to
don't think
yourself.
she should have responded. You know, I think that it would have been better for her just to completely ignore it, not even make the post on Twitter or whatever it was. But it just whatever. Just don't apologize, because these people, you know, they won't stop once you apologize. That's not how it works. So just don't apologize. But yeah, it would have been better if I think she didn't even address it. Like, fuck these people.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I mean, it is kind of hard to just ignore the fact that you're trending on Twitter for 2 days because people are absolute lunatics. This is the society that we're in now. So
yeah,
I think that like even the fact that she was trending for so long is just a sign of bad faith arguments. It's kind of like, just like some arguments, like for films, like with film criticism, aren't made in bad, or they're not made in good faith. You know, like if the pay up and the setups aren't lining up or anything like that, that's a legitimate criticism. It's like, oh, I hate this actor and their political views. I mean, that's not a good faith criticism.
Yeah.
or I guess in this case a TV show, and you know, you don't owe strangers nearly anything compared to what you owe your family. I know, like, there is some kind of ideas like within, like, what is the ethical good and the moral fabric of a society. There is some degree of what do we owe each other, and I think that's already been kind of like torn apart with arguments like these, because it's like, what if his shirt wasn't even a police shirt, you know? And what if they were parroting the red hat out of, like, just to make fun of it? I mean, like, it's really a bad faith, you know, non-goodwill sort of arguments and proposition to take anyway. So but yeah, it's Twitter, so you're not going to find a lot of maturity there. And actually, I kind of do wonder how old some of these people are, because I think a lot of younger people don't know a lot about communism. It was actually funny. The highlight of my day today was some guy was complaining about having to go to work because capitalism.
Yeah.
And I laughed and I said, well, at least you don't have to worry about the gun at your back, you know, like when you're under communism. And I actually made him, like, say, you got me there. And I was like, yes.
I'm sorry he didn't just block you, because that's usually the response that I get when I make that.
Well, I mean, like, they were like he was like literally walking like the same way as me when he said it, and I just said it.
Nice.
So,
Paul, any final
don't get into an argument with a history person. So.
Yeah, exactly. Paul, any final thoughts on this one?
I got distracted. I'm just worried now that Disney's going to make a live action version of The Little Mermaid with a fat guy in an Ariel costume. You know, I got distracted.
It's going to happen sooner or later.
Give it a couple of years. There'll be a fat trans Jasmine live action remake. You know, that's people that you're dealing with now. So give it enough time. You'll get there.
That's all they have left.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how can we make this trend in the news and make this controversial? It's, instead of making it good, it's how can we make this controversial?
No.
So.
And then another thing too that I noticed, which is the last thing on this whole story, is that obviously there was a few tweets out there that were saying that, you know, because keep in mind, this is all because of her dad wore like a Thin Blue Line shirt, that all these people went and saw that and then decided to go make the tweet. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure that her racist dad was angry when she was having sex with a black guy on a television show. I'm just thinking to myself, how, like I said, how did you make that connection from point A all the way to like point C and think that somehow that no, everyone else is the bad guy in this scenario, but not me? No, your family is the ones is the racist, even though I'm the one.
They think racistly shit every chance that they get. Like, they are their own worst enemy. Like, every time they're just like, these people are so bad, and it's like, it's exactly the way that you think, and you're trying to project it onto other people. They always prove it
because they have
fucking opportunity.
They have this caricature of this race, of their racist political enemy in their head. So they think that everyone else in real life talks the same way that the person in their head does, which some would say is mental illness. But, you know, we don't say that word anymore because people just go completely undiagnosed.
Just real quick, like this actually came up in a movie that we reviewed and played out. Now it was an entertaining movie and a comedic look at it, but that was what I think Vengeance was really about, with BJ Novak's character kind of living in that echo chamber and realizing how out of touch he is in the real world. and it's just like, you know, and they have some fun with it and whatever, but these people who profess and project so much, it's like, what are you guilty of? Like, what do you got hiding? You know, that you're so up on everybody else's shit. You know, that, and it's like people like tell the truth basically about themselves that are so overly concerned with what other people are doing.
They snitch on themselves. This is why I say all the time. You let someone talk long enough, they're going to snitch on themselves one way or another and reveal something that you wouldn't have known if they didn't just shut up. But, you know, people just can't help themselves when it comes to social media. So
I will say from like a teaching perspective too, like a lot of these people just are parroting talking points. Like if there is legitimate systematic racism, I always ask, can you give me an example? And a lot of the times people don't come up with legitimate examples. There are like exceptions, you know, in every area of you know, society, like law and stuff. But I mean, and then, of course, individually. But I mean, like overall, I mean, like you might find some racism, for example, if you want to like apply to a traditionally Black college and you're not Black, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, like that's kind
these
of
these people are just undiagnosed mental illness. That's all it is. Like I heard someone say this perfectly like 15 years ago. It was just an old buddy of mine. It's like, yeah, all these people just undiagnosed. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much all it is now. Just a whole bunch of people who probably should be locked up.
You know what? It's offensive. This is offensive to people with mental illness because they are far more enjoyable to be around than these fucking losers. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, some of these people
like getting enjoyment from mentally ill people, though. I mean, like in like the 1700s in Bedlam, which is like this very famous insane asylum in London, like outside of London, they used to let people come in for like pennies and like throw pennies at some of their patients. And you know, this is just Twitter.
Yeah, so some people will also call that modern day MTV as well. So all right, well, let's
take your word for it.
Yeah, there's nothing on there anyway. So let's move on to we're gonna jump a little bit into the political argument, but it's still in the world of entertainment. Did you guys know that CNN is now right wing now? And that David Zaslav has come over, taken over Warner Brothers. He's making it conservative and Trump-like. At least this is what the Daily Beast is now saying. The Daily Beast is now making the argument that because David Zaslav canceled Batgirl, that now he's placating to right-wing America. I'm not lying. This is a couple of articles from the Daily Beast. This one right here says, laid off HBO Max exec reveals that Warner Brothers Discovery is killing off diversity and courting to middle America. Oh no. They're placating to flyover country. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's all going down in flames. So this one I found funny is that Warner Brothers has asked about 13 non-white executives as it tries to climb out of debt. Billions of dollars in debt, by the way. We're not just talking about a little bit of debt. How will it effectively affect television shows and movies? So like I said, this whole thing is complaining because Batgirl got canceled and they got robbed of having a Latina Batgirl, and there's someone in the show was supposed to be trans too. So they got robbed of that. So now they're looking at Warner Brothers Discovery and all the layoffs, all the firings. It's like, oh no, they're trying to unwoke Warner Brothers. This is absolutely terrible. Here's the thing that they're missing. Is that David Zaslav, before he took over before Warner Brothers was running Discovery. And Discovery, if you guys don't know this, with the court of shows that they have, placates more to your middle America right-leaning audiences, because you have shows like, you know, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or the other shows where Guy Fieri is cooking food. You have Flip and Flop, renovation shows where they're just tearing down old homes and building up new ones, and they have different type of shows like, you know, Battle Bots and what's the other show, Street Outlaws, where they just race cars, and they wonder why these type of shows placate to more of a right-wing audience. You know why? Because these are the last few shows on television that they haven't found to make woke yet. Because when you're essentially renovating a kitchen for $15,000, you can't really shoehorn any lectures about Black Lives Matter in the first of like making kitchen shows. So it's like, oh wow, there's a TV show that doesn't have any kind of woke crap in it. I'll just watch this instead. and networks like Discovery, HDTV are usually more the ones highest rated cable shows because of that. So you have a guy who knows how to find his niche for the audience, who's looking at whatever the fuck Warner Brothers is doing right now and everything that is in their subsidiary and going, why the hell are we not doing the same thing here? No one's watching any of these shows. They're losing billions of dollars. Why don't we just get the hell out of people? So he's coming over here. He laid off like 70 people. He's cut entire teams for the unscripted content on HBO Max, on the Warner Brothers networks, whether it's TNT, TBS. They sold off their shares of the CW. That's been completely sold off. And then another thing that people are complaining about is the CNN. Now, if you guys haven't caught this, but CNN, Brian Stelter just signed off his last day on reliable sources, so he's gone. There's going to be even more cuts coming for CNN. They canceled CNN Plus. A lot of big names are wondering if they're going to be around. Is Don Lemon going to be around by the time this is over? Is Anderson Cooper? A few of these other guys, are they still going to be around? The word that I've gotten from guys close to the whole situation is that David Zaslav wants CNN to go back to being CNN. He wants the CNN to go back to being the network before it just became the 24/7 anti-Trump network, which means that you're going to have to get rid of a whole bunch of ideologues behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So now these people are completely freaking out that, Warner Brothers, CNN, all these properties are not going to be progressive strongholds like if you look at Disney and stuff that they're doing, or NBC Universal. Now, this is not saying that, Warner Brothers Discovery is going to be the new Fox News or anything like that, but it's basically saying that, look, all of this woke crap that you guys want to push is chasing away viewers. No one's watching any of this shit. No one's buying any of this stuff. And because of that, we're billions of dollars in debt. So, yeah, we're just going to start canceling all this stuff that's not making us any money. And people are now freaking out about it. So I'll give this up to you guys on the floor. What do you think about the fear that Warner Brothers Discovery is no longer going to placate to woke ideologues on Twitter anymore, that they're actually going to focus on entertaining television?
Well, I just want to say real quick, like I love this. When I saw this article, I was like, oh, you mean you're going to go back to what HBO used to be known for, which basically was adult entertainment that that was interesting, that pushed the limits, that it gave you something to invest into instead of since they went to HBO Max, there's been a lot of woke crap. There's been a lot of, quote, I guess diversity quotas being filled. And you have a lot of shows that have been canceled, and HBO used to be known as top tier quality, even with Netflix and, AMC with Breaking Bad and Mad Men, towards the end of the 2000s, they had competition. HBO was still making shows that was better than a Netflix produced show, a Showtime produced show. They were head and shoulders above everybody for about 15 years, and they've kind of been nosediving the last 6 or 7 years. And so this is music to my ears. I love this. I love a lot of the products that come along with Warner Brothers and Time Warner, whether it's Cartoon Network, or TNT. I mean, there's a lot of great movie library that comes with it. And I think they should get back to things that people want to see. People are sick of having so-called diversity, if you can call it that, forced diversity down their throat. And with these quotas, this basically blatant tokenism. So I hope that HBO Max goes towards that. I think that they're the best streaming service out there, and, just cut the fat and go.
Don't everyone talking at once.
Well, these people like to think that money grows on trees. And it's just this company is hemorrhaging money. Corporations are in business to make money, not lose it. And when you're billions of dollars in the hole, you have to make adjustments. I mean, when you had that headline up, it's when you take into account how much money Warner Brothers has lost. What I'm reading is Warner Brothers is letting go 13 plus diversity hire executives. Yeah. Because they didn't take into account these people's qualifications, because maybe if they did, the company actually would be in good standing, but apparently not. It's all about what what can the color of your skin do for the look of our company, or what is between your legs that can make us look good as a company? Like it's minuscule petty shit. At the end of the day, what do you know and what do you have to offer? And it seems like they're gonna get back to that.
So a couple of things real quick is that right now Warner Brothers Discovery is looking at about a $50 billion hole, and that's just from what they acquired a few months ago. Keep in mind, there's a reason why AT&T sold off this property in the first place. It was not making money, and even they were like, we can't keep funding this stuff anymore. Just blow it up and give it up to somebody else. And another thing, if you look at the article here of these people complaining, they're complaining that they're not firing enough white people at Warner Brothers. So the people who got fired are complaining that that there's not enough white people who are also getting fired here. It's like that almost kind of justifies the fact why you're getting fired in the first place. And this whole fear of, CNN is going to turn into Fox News because they're firing Brian Seltzer. It's like, yeah, no, he doesn't want the network to be what has become over the last few years, which is the lowest rated cable news network, 24/7 news network available right now. And the fact, like I said, it's basically become the 24/7 anti-Trump network. So it's like, yeah, if you want more anti-Trump stuff, go back to watching MSNBC like you used to do. We're not doing that here anymore.
All CNN has been for like the past since before Trump got in office is fucking legitimately communist news network. CNN, like they haven't been rational in so fucking long, and it's like I can separate a rational thought even if I don't agree with it. Now, if I don't have to agree with something that you're saying in order to say, okay, I can understand where you're personally coming from, but I don't see it this way. They haven't had a rational thought in a very fucking long time. And it's just, at some point, it has to give. Something has to give. When you're losing tons of people watching your network because you're spewing bullshit day in and day out for years, people are going to get sick and tired of hearing it at some point. Like, they're a propaganda network. They don't talk about news. And to be honest with you, I mean, most of these news networks don't really talk about news. They're propaganda machines as well. But I think CNN had pretty much been the ones pushing it the furthest of them all.
Yeah.
They probably had the most change. Because like MSNBC is pretty open about being left wing,
Yeah.
And the CNN was supposed to be like central news, the central bipartisan sort of news, and that's why they kind of completely ruined their reputation and their name. And it's not even just a matter of like losing viewers either. They have to stop, or they were paying airports for a while to host their TV shows. Yep. So
it takes a lot of mental insanity to be competing with Rachel Maddow in terms of being fucking out there.
Well, honestly, I'm an indie creator. Paul and I both write our own books, and we do a lot of our own entertainment for fun. And I mean, Cassie's a streamer and a gamer. You've got your 600 subscribers, yay! Why would being fired be such a terrible thing to some of these people? If anything, CNN's been holding them back, clearly. So,
yeah, I'm a mixed of thoughts on it all. In one way, people are going to be glad that, or they're trying to get rid of the woke, but I'm of the mindset of I want to see everybody self-destruct at this point. I'm not interested in them saving it, because even if they become what seems to be unwoke, deep down they're not going to change. They're just going to look for new ways to do it, to try to get viewers back. But that mindset and that ideology isn't going away. So I would be just as happy if they doubled down on the wokeness and just kept shedding viewers until there's nothing left. I mean, I guess it's good to see some of these. I don't want to get too harsh, I guess, on words.
Nah, go as harsh as you need to. Trust me.
I mean,
we got Cassie on the show. We didn't want you to be harsh.
I'm being pushed to my limits, bro. At this point, I don't care.
So I guess it's good to see some consequences, and the whining, of course, I don't have any sympathy for. Who hasn't been fired, or who hasn't lost a job, or who hasn't gotten something that they wanted? It's happened to. And to see the whining shows you this kind of connects to Twitter. This is my own theory of intersectionality, how everything connects to one another. So for a lot of these people, you don't know who they are on Twitter. Yes, you can see the blue check sometimes, but if you see anonymous accounts, you don't know if that's a 10-year-old kid or a 50-year-old person making or whatever. And even with the blue checks, there's a lot of truth to the argument or to the saying that these people just don't have real life experience. And by real life experience means, have you experienced legitimate hardship? And one of the things I've been thinking about too is, just getting off topic a little bit, I'll shut it down real quick and get back to it, is I'm having less and less sympathy for people who complain about their hardship, because I'm sure I have had significant hardship, but I don't focus on it. And because I don't focus on it, I don't remember all the hardships I have. And all the people you hear about how I've overcome this hardship or whatever, why are you always focusing on that? And so it kind of leads back to this thing of, why is this even a story? I mean, it's the Daily Beast, so this is what we expect from the Daily Beast. And to sum it up and bring it back to full circle is, I'm of mixed feelings on it. I guess it's good, but at the same time, you know what? I'm of the mindset of just keep going and self-destructing, so somebody new can come in and take your place.
Yeah, I agree with Paul in that sense, to be honest with you. But like, I think that the positive we can all take from this is that letting CNN come back more towards, the side of sanity is just going to make these leftist lunatics, like this far leftists, look even more insane. So hopefully over time that these companies will stop trying to appease these mentally deranged people, and people look at them, eventually, and give them no attention, no credit, nothing. That's what they deserve. They deserve nothing. They don't even deserve your time, your ear, nothing. So the sooner I think we can get to that, I think the better our society will become.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I mean, like, I will say, like I have a lot of conservative friends, and I make good company among them. And I know that, the right doesn't believe in boycotts that much. It's very hard. So I have a lot of friends that even like with Disney, they're going camping there this week. And it's like, I call it Groovertown, right? I'm just very angry about some of this stuff. We're not going to talk about Turning Red today, but
yeah. Just real quick, these people, the ones that were whining about they were diversity hires and now their jobs no longer exist. It's like these people pretty much got the luxury of being hired by these multinational corporations, these billion-dollar corporations that were going to essentially push their agendas for them, right? But here you have a situation with Warner Brothers where they did that for so long that now their company is like, they're so deep in the red, they can no longer continue to finance their agenda anymore. So it's like, okay, we have to start cutting some of the dead weight around here, or else we're just going to go bankrupt entirely. And this is the part, because like I said, what Warner Brothers was doing for years, same thing that Disney's continuing to do and they're going to continue to do, same thing NBC Universal has been doing that they're going to continue to do until these mega corporations start losing a shit ton of money. This is what it's going to look like. Now, the problem is that with AT&T, who used to own this before they merged to their own little company, is that with these multinational corporations, they have so many ways of like raising revenue and things of that nature, that if it was just about the movie studio, if the movie studio loses like $10 billion or something like that, they got so much money from so many other places that it really doesn't matter to them, because like I said, Comcast is a mega conglomerate outside of the film studio and the TV studio. Same thing with Disney. They're making so much money on all these other places. AT&T was like, yeah, I mean, we're a mega, telecommunications company too, but we don't just want to sit here and lose $50 billion a year on this thing. So now it's been completely cut off to its own. Okay, you're just a film studio now. You're just a TV studio now. And then people are like, oh yeah, crap. We actually haven't been making money based on just our studio alone. And it's like, okay, we have no way to essentially fundamentally and not endorse ourselves, but sustain ourselves. So I feel like if you start pulling the plug on a lot of these television studios and film studios, you'll find out that a lot of this woke crap isn't as popular and as profitable as a lot of people seem to think that it is. They only have that illusion because, like I said, it's attached to these multi-billion-dollar corporations in the first place.
Yeah, well, I'll say this: I'm no fan of CNN as one of the products under Time Warner. In fact, it's one of those things that makes me cringe when I realize it or I think of it. It's like, because it's this glaring glaring hole in what other, like, I think they have a great library of movies, of TV shows. I think HBO is a great product. But and here's the thing, I don't have any relationship with Discovery, but it's like the point I'm making is that HBO needs to get back to like what made it great, and it's movies and things people want to watch instead of, you know, ideology and, I guess, Trump bashing. I don't. It's been really blatantly apparent the last 6 years at least.
Yeah, I mean, this is a network that was known for, like I said, shows like The Sopranos, shows like The Wire, shows like, you know, Entourage, Sex and the City. I'm not a big fan of Sex and the City, but it was a big show for its time. Like, this is a network that's known for producing great television shows just out of that side of it alone. And they do decent movies as well. And the reason why all these people are upset is because they wanted to replace Batman, one of the most popular comic book characters ever. They wanted to replace him with this diversity hire Batgirl, and David Zaslav is like, we're not replacing one of our most profitable characters under our library just so you guys can have a Latina Batgirl who no one's going to go and pay and watch these movies anyways. It's like, no, we're absolutely not doing that. And these people are on Twitter just spurting out and having meltdowns about it.
But and then all these hires though, right? All these equity hires or diversity hires, it's like you were so easy to let go because guess what? You hold no value. And you don't even have a real job. You know, that's what's so sad about this is like you were able to be let go because you were dead weight. You weren't adding anything. So you were taking something away without providing value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when I talk to, oh my bad, go ahead, Seth.
No, I was just gonna say, you were getting paid 6 figures at what constitutes for not even a real job. You should just be happy that you game the system for a little while and take your money and go somewhere else.
Yeah, what is crazy, like when I talk to people, they're pretty like middle ground with this kind of stuff. Like they kind of don't really know what to think about this whole Warner Brothers situation that's transpiring. And I bring up to them, I'm like, y'all do realize that the old guard was mentally fucking insane because they actually thought they could replace Batman and Superman with this Batgirl and Supergirl and actually thought it would be successful. And when I do bring that shit up to them, then they're like, I can't even, I get you. You know, they can't, nobody can reasonably defend that. The old guard absolutely lost their fucking mind. They thought that for whatever reason, they can get away with their bullshit ass agenda because, well, you know, if they don't like it, we'll just cry racism and sexism. And that's not how the fucking world works. And the sooner people figure that out, the better. Because I'm tired of having to have these dumb fuck conversations with people that have no talent, people that have no reason to hold these jobs because they can't even do the very basics. They don't even have sound mind. Why are these people in these positions of power?
You know what's funny is if they thought the trolls were bad for you know, She-Hulk or any of the Star Wars, the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, if they would have released that Batgirl movie, it would have got torn to shreds, and they couldn't even hide behind the fact that it was review bombed or blah blah. This is like absolutely rejected by every single person, even fans of DC Comics that might want to see something like that. And it's like you're going to remove the two biggest heroes of your platform. Why? So you can tokenize other characters? It makes no sense. It's an idea of somebody who's in an echo chamber and like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. It's a terrible idea.
Yep. And it's like these are the same people that you guys remember when Halle Berry accepted her Razzie Award for Catwoman? She did it in good faith. It was entertaining. Like, you know, you could tell that she was unhappy to be there, but she was, you know, she just took it for what it was. These people can't stand the idea of being ridiculed for their stupidity. They couldn't stand up for themselves like Halle Berry did and just took it in good faith and moved on. You know, this one was a mistake in terms of accepting this role, but, you know, we're going to be here. We're going to be cool about it. And matter of fact, like, that's one of the funniest moments that I go back to when she accepted the reward. Like, I can go back and watch that shit and just start die laughing. And I respect Halle Berry for that, because a lot of these people, they have so much fucking pride that they could never accept the reality that maybe this wasn't a good decision. Maybe I fucked up, and let's just be cool about it. Nah, they can't do that. If anything, if they go through any situation in which, people won't accept the fact that their vision, which is garbage, if they can't accept that vision, well, everyone else is wrong, not me.
They say you're dealing with people who would rather hold on to whatever power they have, or they would rather just have the whole thing not exist. They would rather something not exist than not have them in control of it. So it's
that's part of society today. There's a lot of bureaucratic bloat and if you look at academia, I see this too. The administrative offices have grown and not in largely needless ways. I mean, with advancements in technology and available resources today, we don't need all this stuff. We do need people that are reliable, but we don't need quite so many people. Like you're gonna get, if you can get one person that's reliable with one job, like you shouldn't need like 4 people doing that job. So yeah, you see this a lot, and I think too, like it's the nature of power to corrupt, absolutely, right? So a lot more of these people that are like quote unquote in power or feel like they are in their own echo chamber, yeah, they're starting to kind of realize, oh no, our power is slipping, and it's General Tarkin effect.
I think more companies, including government itself, because a lot of people don't realize this, but government is one giant corporation that essentially continues because they steal money from the people. That's essentially what it is. But a lot of people don't realize that all these large corporations, as well as government, they are giant bureaucracies that haven't been reassessed in a very long time. And I think this is a great thing that Warner Brothers is doing, is reassessing the bloat that they have. Because, when you just let this bureaucracy run and run, it's like you're not cleaning the wound. You're just putting a Band-Aid on. Then you're putting another Band-Aid on. Then you're putting another Band-Aid on top of that. The wound fucking smells now. Let's just put another Band-Aid on top of it. Let's not take it off and clean it. Let's not reassess what's going on here. Let's just continue to put a Band-Aid on. And that's how
we need black Band-Aids and red Band-Aids and Indian Band-Aids.
It's starting to smell like almonds.
But that's how these corporations and government is largely run. And it's just, it doesn't, none of these things work efficiently when you do that. It's just, we need someone to take on this extra bullshit that we've added to this pile of bullshit. So we'll get another person and another person. And it's like, if you just remove the excess, you wouldn't need all these fucking people to have this corporation or government run efficiently. Like, just be more efficient and reassess your choices as whatever your company is.
Yeah. Quick little shout out to Matt's movie reviews all the way in Australia. We need you back on the Monday show. So I know he's doing some downtime with his family right now, but we could definitely use you back for movie reviews. And speaking of one, I guess you could say giant corporation that's losing a crap ton of money, let's go ahead and move over to another media corporation losing a crap ton of money, Netflix, that canceled Resident Evil after 6 weeks. So I'm trying not to say gamer words right now, people. So essentially what happened here is that this was the diverse recasting.
Scroll down, please.
Hold on. I'm gonna get to it. It's called the build up. Just as we get to it. So
well, my eyes hurt.
So so they had this whole thing with we're gonna make Resident Evil woke and diverse, and people are gonna love it. And then they released it, everyone hated it, and then 6 weeks is canceled after 1 season. So this just must be Netflix's new model here. That we're just gonna take all the crap that you liked before we got to it, make it significantly worse, and then cancel it after 1 season. So just like Cowboy Bebop, we're gonna do the same thing here. Canceled after 1 season, after it was widely panned by literally everyone who saw it. I saw the first 2 episodes of the show, and it was probably the worst thing that I've ever seen on Netflix ever. And that's saying a lot because there's a lot of crap on Netflix. The Capcom video game that got turned into a live action adaptation. This weird thing with the Resident Evil thing is like, they've never made like a really good, truly good Resident Evil movie. There's been like what 7, 8 Resident Evil movies up to this point. I think you could only argue the first one was somewhat decent, not very good. All the Mila Jovovich films were terrible. They did Welcome to Raccoon City, which is also a woke and diverse, and that one was trash last year. And then somehow Netflix found a way to make it even worse than that. But 6 weeks after its release, it's absolutely done. We're not doing this shit anymore. So it doesn't matter about all these characters who you probably will never remember. Jade, whatever her name is, her stupid sister. The only thing that's ever going to be remembered about this series is that they took Lance Reddick and turned him into Blade, pretending to be Albert Wesker. That's going to be the legacy of this show for years and years to come. You can see here Rotten Tomatoes. Even Rotten Tomatoes couldn't save this dumpster fire. 55% were critics, which is probably like at least 40 points lower than when it actually should have been. Audiences gave it 27%. This thing was bad. This was terrible. You see Metacritic here. Terrible scores all around. 1.4 on Metacritic with the users. This whole thing was just... I don't know who greenlit this. And then when you look at what's going on with Netflix, it's like, look, you guys are losing millions to billions of dollars as well. Why do you guys keep making crap like this? Why do you want to be the home of, oh, Netflix is gonna make a live action adaptation of this TV show that I like? Oh, now Noah's gonna be the worst thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. That's what it is now. So I think Spencer wanted me to say some of those gamer words, but I resisted. I held back. What is your guys' thoughts on Netflix's the Resident Evil being no more after a very short period of time? What do you guys have to say about Netflix as a platform?
Garbage. I avidly avoid it. But whenever they decide to bastardize something that I grew up loving, I have no problem turning on my camera and absolutely shitting on them for it. Matter of fact, that's still my biggest video on my YouTube channel, was me just shitting on Netflix for putting out Cowboy Bebop. So at this point, bro, there's nothing you could do that's gonna hurt me. That's my heart is so callous to the shit. But I'm gonna hurt you with my words, and if people don't like that, they can kiss my ass. It's fairly simple. But I will say this: when it comes to live action Resident Evil, the best adaptation, and it's not even technically an adaptation, is the live action scenes in the very original Resident Evil video game. I would rather get a full movie of that level of acting than actually sit through any of this crap that any of these companies have managed to get onto a screen. None of these movies or TV shows were released. I'm convinced they escaped.
Oh, I'm getting like Blair Witch vibes when you say that. So
I'm not going to watch it. I know that. Netflix is mostly a pile of dog crap when it comes to the content they produce, especially the content they produce. I will say the movie that I'm most looking forward to is being released by Netflix in September. So,
keep those expectations low.
That's right. But yeah, no, it's, Netflix, they seemingly like want to appeal to kids and teens. And they do a really bad job at creating content for adults, or at least people that are looking for, serious TV shows to at least like sink their teeth into and be interested in. I mean, I guess Ozark was okay. I didn't see it. I know people like Stranger Things, but it's just really childish to me. So, just generally as a platform, they're kind of underwhelming. And then there's all the weird, like the big mouth stuff and like the cutie stuff. Oh, there's just the weird, like sort of subversive, like we're trying to sexualize your children, which is kind of weird. So yeah, they're another company that produces mostly crap and is kind of just pushing an ideological point of view constantly.
Paul, let me ask you, what is your experience and thoughts on just Netflix as a platform in general?
As a platform, I guess they're still number one, and I guess I don't think they're in danger of losing that status as far as subscribers anytime soon. But
yeah,
I don't know why people stick with them. As far as Resident Evil goes, I kind of agree with you. I never played the video games. I'm gonna either give myself some street cred or take a whole lot away here, because I'm old enough that my first video game system was the Atari 2600. That was my first gaming system. And so I never...
That's retro, baby.
And so I never see. I was a gamer before they had a term gamer. They didn't call them gamers. They just said, "Why are you playing those stupid video games?" That's how they described it back then. But so I never played the Resident Evil video games. But as was already said, I never understood the movies. I couldn't figure out, well, what's going on here? Is it the end of the world? Is this one corporation controlling the world? Is everybody infected or they're not infected? I never understood the plot of any of the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies. But I mean, apparently they did well. They kept making them. As far as the Netflix series goes, I think as soon as everybody saw the trailers, they're like, all right, this is DOA. As soon as they saw it. So Netflix, again, goes back to what I said about HBO Max and Warner. I'm cheering them on. Go ahead. Self-destruct. I don't care at this point. Because I know they don't like us. They don't like me. I know they can't stand me on a fundamental level. This also connects to what I was saying about I don't debate anymore because debate's useless. I'm not going to crush anybody with facts and logic like conservatives like to say. It's not going to happen. They hate us, and there's nothing I can do to change it. This is what I've been writing about Bounding into comics. A lot of my stuff has been ending with, go ahead, do what you want. I'm just going to go my own way. So,
well, technically, conservatives can't own the libs because we are against slavery. So.
Well, okay, I guess. Okay, I can see that. But
it depends on who the slaves are, because I mean, at this point, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I'm happy to see Netflix. I mean, I don't feel sorry for any of the actors or anything or the crew. They all got paid, right? So even if it got canceled, they still made their money. And I've talked to other people before. Like, you know what? You can make a bad movie and you're still getting paid for it. Who was the butler in the Batman movies?
Michael Caine.
Yes. He there for a while in the 80s. He was just making every movie that they offered him. He was like, hey, I don't care. I'll make Jaws 3 because that will pay for this house or whatever.
Jaws 4.
Jaws 4. Yeah,
The
so
Revenge.
He did that. Yeah, he didn't care.
We talked about that last night. We literally talked about that.
We literally got into an argument about that last night.
But yeah, so I know a lot of the times people come out and hit the actors because they're the face of it, and I do too. But at the same time, I'm sure a lot of that's gone through their mind is, I don't care how bad it is. I'm getting paid some pretty good money to do it.
Yeah, and this is why on a certain level, I try to think about where actors are coming from, because here's the thing: actors want to work. They want to continue to work, so they'll say all kinds of ridiculous shit just to get another job, and so I sympathize with that, because I don't think it's easy trying to juggle all that crap in Hollywood, where you have to say the right thing and you have to be you present a certain way to not be unconsidered, and at the end of the day, you're right, they're just doing a job. They're saying the lines that's written for them, and they're directed by somebody else, that's not themselves. So I don't know. I try to remember that when I'm criticizing things.
I don't want to come down too much on the side of actors, because I don't want to sound like I'm standing up for them, because I'm not. But I'm thinking that they probably knew. I mean, as soon everybody saw that Blade photo. What's the guy's name? Lance Riddick, is that his name?
Yeah, Lance Riddick.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody laughed as soon as they saw it. I'm sure he no, you can't put me into this. And I'm like, yep, you're gonna wear that. And he's like, okay, whatever.
And he's a good actor. Like, he's a really good actor. Like, he was in The Wire.
He really is.
He was in the show I really like called Oz. I mean, he's been in some really good stuff, and just to see him in that is like, really? I mean, I'm sure you're right. He got paid. He's a professional at the end of the day. So
what's crazy to me is, like, when I was 17, I thought that entertainment was kind of going down toilet at that age, and I was always the outlier. Like, everyone was listening to Lady Gaga, and I'm like, fuck that. I'd rather just listen to Madonna. That's just how I always was. But,
and then you grew up and realized they both sucked?
No. Fuck you, bro. But when I think about if I was 17 today, how fucking offended I would be at how stupid they think I am, to actually think that this kind of content appeals to me as if I were 17. Like, it is so fucking offensive. Like, it's disgusting. Like, how do you really think I'm this stupid? Like, right. I don't know how people just simply accept it for what it is. I mean, maybe it's just because they're completely overly saturated with this kind of junk now. But it is offensive, man. Or maybe 17-year-olds really are that stupid, but I couldn't relate even at the age of 17. Like, I got fucking dragged to see one Twilight movie, and then after that, I was never again, sort of deal.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, for my end of it, like, so, like, I write books, and I write a lot of books, and I, like, on some level, I have sympathy for Netflix, and I know that sounds, like, terrible, because I will disavow them easily. One of my, like, favorite things that I'm, like, going to talk about when I get my YouTube channel moving a little bit more is, like, why you basically just cancel streaming, because there's nothing that hasn't been made better in the past at this point. And, but, like, I feel sympathy for them because, like, I write a lot of different genres, and, like, I just love genre hopping. I want to tell stories that I'm entertained by, and I'm entertained by a lot. But you can't really be known for anything, like, one specifically great thing because of that. And your audience, like, age level, maturity, everything varies from, in my case, book to book, or book series to book series and stuff. And, like, that it is really hard to blend into one big brand. Now, I have my name, so that's all I can say to that. So I sympathize in that they're trying to be like the zeitgeists, right? Is that how they say that word? They're like
zeitgeist.
Yeah, the zeitgeist. I never say it right. Of culture, and they have, like, all these different things available for different people, and if you want to watch something, they have it. But on the other hand, it's like, if you're going to do that, you have to, like, allocate your resources and prioritize things, obviously. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm mostly known as a fantasy writer. The Starlight Chronicles behind me, they're my #1 selling series. So most people know me from that. And those are the things, like, those are the big cookies that you're going to push when you're selling them, And the new stuff, sometimes it is new. So you're asking people to take a no risk. That's, if it was just a fantasy story, like, you wouldn't have to worry about it. And that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Discovery. Like, Discovery's kind of figured out what middle America likes. And I actually call middle America TV, like, women porn, because, like, you have all these Food Network. You have all these houses.
I think you're thinking about the Hallmark Network. That's just a little sad.
Well, I mean, like, that's like the romance. Like, there's a difference between erotica and romance, okay? This is more like, this is what women love. Like, we love to see things being made beautiful. We like to see order out of chaos. We like to see competition. We like to see, like, Flavor things Town. That are being made for, food. Yeah, food's a big one, yeah. So it's like, this is perfect. This is what, I mean, if Hallmark and Discovery got together, it would probably outshine Netflix very easily, because they know what their branding is, and they know what the troopy things that are people looking for. So in that respect, I pity Netflix, because you can't be the greatest thing if you're trying to be all the things. I speak from experience. And, like, I get away with it because I'm one single person. Beyonce gets away with it because she's one single person. Okay. On the other hand, though, this is kind of like the scary sadistic side of things, is like when you buy a lot of, like, IP stuff, and you just to buy stuff, just to have stuff, you have a lot of insanely controlling power that happens with that. And it's like, you're like, one of the things that book contracts do now a lot of times, and this is why I'm an indie publisher, is that they'll make you sign away rights to, like, your next books. Like, you can't publish under the same name if you publish with certain companies, and they make you change your stuff. Like, there's stuff in some books that is like, this was clearly added in after the author was, like, done. If you look for it and you know what you're looking for, you see it. And it's really, really, like, this is dumb. So if you believe in the author and the author's vision, I understand, like, editing, but, like, refining it to change, hey, let's make this couple over here a different kind of couple, or let's turn this cat into a dog, or something like that. Like, even, like, one of my biggest criticisms of the Percy Jackson series is that they, like, decided to make the one character gay, like, midway through the series. And I was like, oh, that's not a coincidence at all. It's not a selling point at all. And it was just really, really off-putting to some of us. And so you have, when you buy all these IPs though and all these things, you have an enormous amount of power to like control access to those things. Like if you have a dog story and you want to start doing a lot of dog stories, boom, you can send it out. And so there's a lot more of a controlling aspect to it behind the scenes. And I'm sorry I'm rambling, but this is the part where I really, really hate that. Like most of your media consumption comes down to 4 or 5 companies, and usually a lot of them are willing to work in sync with each other to get your money, to send the message.
But I was literally just gonna bring up that point real quick. It's like always control your IPs. Like if the last 15 years hasn't told you anything, it's like always have control over the shit that you create, or else someone else is gonna come along and make it significantly worse. So
well, I mean, I love my characters. You know, I'm sure somebody would say they're not diverse enough.
I know another writer who's a YouTuber as well, and she's like, yeah, the biggest issue is that if you don't fall in line, you're gatekept from just trying to write something that you're passionate about. And it's like to get your footing in this industry. And I hear that when it comes to writing novels, it is, she described it as worse than any of these companies that make film and all that. And I can only imagine, you know, and it really sucks, especially if you're passionate and you want to write something that truly is meaningful to you, something that you've thought out so like delicately. Like me and Rob's favorite movie is Once Upon a Time in America, and Sergio Leone was so passionate about that film. He could recite the entire script off his, like, just off the top of his head. That's how passionate he was about the project. And to watch, and it must have been so painful to watch them completely butcher that movie in America, where they literally put it in chronological order, which destroys the entire film. Like, a critic said that was the best and worst movie released in that year, because the chronological version is completely bastardized and cut so short that it doesn't make any sense. Whereas I believe it's like the European version, I mean, still cut down more than what Sergio Leone wanted, but at least it made sense.
Well, since Rob is back, when I asked this one topic before we move on here, Spencer kind of challenged you to say, name one thing that you've liked in the last 2 years.
Does it have to be like in the last year it had to have been released? Because there's plenty of things I've seen that I've enjoyed from, this, other decades and whatever. So does it have to be like a release from 2021? Because I talk about Belfast being my favorite movie of the last year. I liked The Last Duel. There are a couple of things I liked, but so if we're talking about like releases, modern releases, I can come up with a few, but it's not very many. So I just saw Rocco and His Brothers, which is this fantastic Italian neo-realist movie from 1961. Directed by Luciano Visconti. That was a great film. It's 3 hours long and it's in Italian. So go check it out on the Criterion channel. Also, The Longest Day, 1962. Every male star you could think of in telling the story of D-Day. It's 3 hours long. It's a great movie. It's, both those are in black and white, and you should go check them out. But I can talk about classic movies all day. It's modern movies that are terrible. So
suck on that one, Spencer. How about that? Booyah. Boom, roasted. Isn't that what Ben Askren always says?
No, that's Michael Scott from The Office. But yes, boom, roasted.
Yeah, I think he stole it from Michael Scott.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know.
Let's talk about let's go ahead and just move on since we're on a topic about fans hating things, because there's people out there that want to make it harder for fans to hate certain projects. So there, as you know, She-Hulk is out. I think episode 3 is coming out maybe tomorrow or like Thursday, one of those 2 days. But the first 2 episodes have come out and it has just been absolutely atrocious. The first episode of this show was just god awful. It's probably the worst introduction to a character that I've seen in quite some time. Like, you couldn't have introduced this any worse way to the viewing public. It's not getting good reviews, but of course the media, instead of just admitting this is a bad show, ones go like, hey, you know what, we should make it so that people can't make bad reviews on IMDb anymore. And this is exactly what you're seeing here. Spencer, by the way, this was supposed to be like a rant for me because I did kind of an editorial, and Spencer kind of dressed it up a little bit to make it more of like a readable article. So I don't know whether to thank you for that one or not, but we do have this one here. It's called Screen Rant, and Mark Ruffalo call for a change to the IMDb rating system following the She-Hulk controversy. Now, this actually started a couple weeks back. I think I was in Vegas when this happened, if I'm not mistaken, where before She-Hulk came out, there was this argument on the internet. People were saying that, oh, She-Hulk is getting review bombed on IMDb because look at all these 1-star reviews before the show has come out. Well, no one said anything about the fact that there was actually more 10-star reviews before the movie came out, but they only want to focus on the negative reviews, and there's a reason for that. What they did here is to make this narrative that, you know, people are just review bombing this. It's not that the show is bad, it's that people on the internet are manipulating the ratings, so we need to change the rating system in order for them to not do this anymore. This is with the same playbook, line by line, that they did 3 years ago with Captain Marvel, when Captain Marvel came out, because that was the movie that they were all portraying to be, it's the first female superhero movie in the MCU that, you know, in the last 5 years, like all these other like modifiers is up to that statement. But nobody liked Brie Larson. She's just not a likable person at all. So what happened was that Rotten Tomatoes, because people were giving negative reviews of the movie, it wasn't even negative reviews. Actually, they used to have a feature of whether you were interested or not interested in the movie. And people were going down and saying they were not interested in the movie because of things that Brie Larson had said. Well, they ended up scrapping that all together. They changed their rating system to where you have to verify the purchase of a ticket, like via Fandango, that you actually watched the movie before you're allowed to make any comments about it. And for them, in their mind, this is supposed to cut out the negative reviews of Captain Marvels and movies that they wanted to protect. Well, it actually didn't really do anything anyway. People just went and saw the movie and still said that it was trash. And they're still having issues with like streaming platforms about trying to do that as well. Yeah, he said making it more publishable. Fair enough, because I did say some gamer words in there, so I won't argue that point. But essentially,
it's kind of a goofy system, though. I mean, all you have to do is return, like, not go and like return the ticket. But you have the ticket that says you bought the ticket.
Well, here's the thing. They don't care about the actual system. They wanted to control the narrative about these type of projects, especially the ones that are produced by Disney. They don't want the narrative to be out there that, you know, these shows, these movies that they're producing are just trash. Because in their minds, these shows have people of color and they have LGBTQ people and they have women. So we have to do everything we can to protect these projects, or else the creators of this show are going to be subject to harassment, which is basically their word of saying criticism, and they have to carry it across the finish line at all costs. So now they want IMDb to change its system so that people, this is what they said, they want to change it so that people can't make reviews of the show before it comes out. But we all know that after the show comes out and they're still getting 1-star reviews, they're going to complain about it. So what they want is that they want IMDb's rating system gone. They want it gone, just like they got rid of the message boards that IMDb used to have back in the day, because there used to be some unsavory information about celebrities that people didn't like having on there at the time. Like I said, they're using, you know, the LGBT community and women and people of color and all that old crap as a shield for basically saying, hey, we want you guys to do something about these negative reviews that are on the internet because it's hurting our chances of people watching this show. I think the first episode of She-Hulk did about 1.5 million people, which is less people that are watching Monday Night Raw right now. And that's a show that has been culturally relevant in 20 years. So that just goes to show you the type of success that shows like this are having. Like I said, we talked about this with Captain Marvel, how Rotten Tomatoes went and redid their whole scoring system. So now they got their scalp of Rotten Tomatoes. Now they're going after IMDb. Once IMDb folds, they're going to go after Metacritic, because Metacritic is going to be the next one. They're essentially trying to create an atmosphere where you can't go online and say certain things about certain shows and movies that they don't like. We saw this with Letterboxd a few months ago when they were censoring all reviews of Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary because they didn't want anyone to say anything negative or positive. Obviously, I've gotten blocked a couple of times on there trying to post a negative review of the movie Unpregnant. So this is all about controlling public opinion of certain things. So what is your thoughts on the new call for censorship, which is them revamping, quote unquote, IMDb and their rating system? I go with Rob because he's chewing at the bit for this one.
Sorry, it's just like they can't play by the same rules that everybody else does. Which is basically like, hey, what did you think of the movie? And people giving their honest reaction. Yes, there are trolls out there. There are people that, do you really think the numbers are going to be that large because it's an army of trolls? You know what I mean? It's like you can't play by the same rules. You can't measure success in the same way that every other movie, every other TV show is, eyes on the screen, revenue, etc. So you have to change the rules. And so it makes absolutely like points out that your product sucks, because if it was good, you wouldn't shy away from criticism, because that you should want that and say, hey, where can we do better? How can we improve this product? How can we give fans what they want? Instead, it's this hostility, which tells me that you made a shitty product and you can't own up to it.
Yeah, just real quick, they want these shows to be loved and accepted the way that, classic cinema and classic television shows are loved and accepted. But they think that just by making a show that has a woman on there, making a show that has a gay person on it, that's what people are going to love about it. That's never been what anyone's loved about any television show or movie whatsoever. That's not the way that this shit works. But like I said, instead of just giving people what they want, which is entertaining, well thought out television, they're telling you what you're going to like. And this is they just, for the love of them, they cannot accept this. And they're like, no, we're not going to make a good television show. We're going to make it impossible for you to complain about our shitty one. This is what we're going to do now.
Well, it's not doing the writers any good either. Like, like even with my books, again, writing stuff. Sorry, guys. I know I have legitimately bad. Well, not like bad, but like there's some works that are just not as well received as others. And I can name them. But I mean, like, it's helpful when you get constructive feedback to be like, hey, make your character more sympathetic, or hey, make your character more relatable or understandable is what I usually shoot for. It's helpful.
Good.
So
it's just good.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you also, like, when you quote feel like you've tried really hard, and I think you were talking about this earlier about like feeling like you've been oppressed, Jacob, where it's like, well, no, Paul was talking about it, and it's like if you feel like you've been oppressed and you've never really been oppressed, criticism is hard to deal with, like criticism of any kind. I mean, that's one of the biggest criticisms of the millennial generations, is that we're not able to take constructive feedback very well. Yeah. And I get it, because it hurts and it's hard to I mean, like, I'm a perfectionist, so it like hurts twice as bad as an average person. So but yeah, isn't it, you're not doing the writers any favor. They're just getting more entitled. They're like, oh, I tried so hard and I'm so oppressed, and next time I'm just going to, I like, you must be lying, so I'm going to double down. And that's exactly what they do. And I mean, like, and then the people who watch this stuff when they're young, especially if they're young, or just kind of not very experienced with life, they might think it's good, and then they'll want to try to write a movie too, and it'll be just as bad or worse, or accidentally good, because that does happen sometimes.
Well, Paul, I wanted to ask you, you've seen a lot of this because you've covered your share of this as well. It's just, it's apparently obvious that they're trying to make it so they can craft this narrative out there that that these shows that are absolutely abhorrent are actually very, very good. It's just, it's just the bad people out there that are making these shows look bad. Have you kind of gotten to the point where, say, you're writing for like Bound in the Comics, where you want to point more of this stuff out, or you just at the point where it's like, you know what, just let them burn their own selves here?
It's both. It's good when you point it out. Because it has to be, because there's always going to be new people who aren't paying attention that you can reach, and repetition works. So it does have to be repeated. So where I come from, and again, I do try to point this out when I write, is yes, it's good that we keep pointing it out, but I don't have the outrage that I used to have for it. Like, I know it's going to happen. And to your point about what's going to happen with it. Do you remember when the internet used to be the Wild West and that was supposed to be the great equalizer?
Yeah.
And they've now got that all under control, don't they? They're now taking more and more control. Now they're going to say, we're going to control what you, like you said, what you like and what you don't like. Yes, you will like this. And to go off just slightly on a tangent, the Critical Drinker did a review of, I guess it was episode 1, and he kind of did a red letter media treatment of the Phantom Menace, where he said, okay, you want to tell this story and you want to make it, you could have told this story in a feminist manner and made it good. And he really did a good job of pointing out why it's bad, which is good. Instead of just saying something's bad, he said, here's how you could have done it the right way. But they don't want to hear that. They're doing what you're saying is, nah, we're not going to do that. We just want to go ahead and control what you think. So it's funny to me. It's kind of funny to see them flip out and say, no, we got to get IMDb under control. IMDb under control. And so I'm enjoying just seeing them get so mad about this when people are calling them out. I read that. I read what you wrote, and when I saw, what'd you say, Raw beat them in the ratings?
Yeah.
I could not believe that. I mean, I know there's a difference between what's Raw. It's on a network, right? It's still on a network, or is it on
still on
TNT?
network.
Okay, I guess it has somewhat of advantage there, but you would think Disney, Marvel,
Disney Plus. Keep in mind, Disney Plus with all the promotion and all the money that goes into it.
That's hard to believe.
Still lost to an episode of Monday Night Raw, which is a show that people say haven't been good since 2001.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Plus, aren't we taking Disney's word for it that they even got that many? Is anybody able to verify what Disney actually?
I think it was
Fandango tickets. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think that someone did verify it was like 1.5 for like the first episode. I have no idea what the second episode did, but the first one was 1.5, which that in and of itself. I mean, when we compare that to like what the what was the Game of Thrones spinoff that just came out on HBO Max? It did like 10 million viewers. I mean,
House of Dragon or something.
House of Dragon, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it literally did like a 10% of what House of Dragon did, which just goes to show you it's like, yeah, no one's really excited about any of this crap. Yet you're trying to fundamentally change an entire site's rating system just to protect the show that only a tenth of the people have seen by comparison.
1.5 million. Is that what you're saying? 1.5 million viewers?
Yeah.
Man, viewers for shows that are success keep going down. Do you remember when, before streaming came out, you would be like a network show and you'd need like 12 to 15 to 20 million people were watching one show. And now you have 1.5 million people and you're still considered a success. Man, that's hard to believe.
Well, CNN has like about 250,000 every week. So
yeah. Like I said, we could point out with so many shows, like the way the networks used to be, like wrestling, but we were just mentioning that back in the day, like at its peak, it used to have somewhere for like 7 to 8 million people watching that one every Monday night, and now it's down to like barely 2 million people right now. But that's supposed to be considered good now because it's like, well, look at everybody else; they're doing terrible. It's like, okay, that just means that no one's watching television in and of itself. That doesn't mean that the number's actually good.
Yeah, how are they staying afloat? 2 million people. Think about that, man.
Yeah,
all the money that goes into that, and they're only getting 2 million eyeballs.
And what's really strange here is that if these executives,
no, we're talking about we're talking about She-Hulk, not the Rings of Power.
But if these people cared, if they wanted to just make good stories, well constructed stories that people care about and have an investment in, okay, there's this book called A Hero of a Thousand Faces, written by Joseph Campbell. Okay, and it very much outlines how basically you have the hero's journey, the arc of the hero that it gives a satisfying story time and again. And granted, you can fuck it up, you can still mess up, but it's the basis for almost every great archetypal story throughout time. And so it's like, guys, the answer's right there. Look to the past, why people cared about movies, about TV shows, about character, and invest in that. But I don't think they genuinely care. These people genuinely want to subvert all of these, historical heroic tropes.
Yep.
So
that's
depressing.
I think it's worth discussing the reality that review bombing goes both ways. There are people that think that whatever is premiering is absolute dog shit and give it a 0 out of 10. Then you have, and the people that are complaining are these people that are like, oh, well, this was like a 7 out of 10, episode. I liked it. I'm glad that we got to see She-Hulk. Then they look on Twitter and see someone bashing it. Oh, now it's a 10 out of 10 just because I have to counter this narrative. Like, that's literally how these mentally deranged people think. And just the fact that, like, this goes both ways. So either just stop the review process entirely or just deal with it. Stop fucking whining. And not for nothing, if these companies are gonna make a shitty show that's gonna preach to me, I'm gonna make fun of it because I'm tired of being nice. Because it's like the more you're nice to these people that just want to remove you from the equation entirely, it's just you're playing their game. So if Disney puts out something that's dog shit, I'm gonna shit on it. You know why? Because fuck Disney. And at the same time, I'm going to support creators that are in the independent scene because I want them to eventually grow to crush this disgusting corporation or just do well enough that it makes Disney look like they're terrible at their own game. And I'm going to bask in that. And if people don't like them or do shit on it, look, I don't even bother going on IMDb to put a star rating or whatever the hell they got on there. To me, that's a waste of time. I want to get on the camera and show my face because I'm not fucking afraid of these loser ass people that have their fucking anime avatars on Twitter that want to they get mad at what I have to say and then go on there and call and say that for some reason like they just want to make fun of me. It's like, bro, you have a fucking anime avatar. How are you really going to try and make fun of my appearance or how I sound? Like, kiss my ass. I want you to know exactly
it's
who
always
I am
some like he, him, 19 but in the bio.
Always. Always. But I want them
flag.
to know exactly who is shitting on the thing that their entire identity is dependent on. I want you to know that I think you are garbage, that I think what you like is fucking garbage. And I have brain cells to explain why. You can't even explain why something is good without using your fucking identity to do it. Because that's all your personality is. And guess what? I think that's garbage too, and I'll make fun of that too. So if you don't like it, get the fuck off the internet. There's no place for you here if you're gonna cry.
Just
Bye.
real quick before I let you guys finish this one up. This is why they're so upset about Batgirl, because by canceling the movie, it robbed them of this opportunity to go online and white knight this film for 3 months. They wanted to white knight, Latina Batgirl, and everyone who doesn't like it is sexist and racist. And oh my god, we got a trans character in this movie.
Black until like 3 weeks ago. Okay,
exactly. And the trans character.
I thought she was black, and you just told me that she's Latina. So okay.
It's like they wanted to write all these articles about how everyone who doesn't like this film is such a bad person, and they wanted to be all these yes queen slay articles about the women who are supposed to be in this film and whatnot, and they got completely robbed of the opportunity of doing that because David Zaslav said, nope, we're not releasing this movie at all. And we're going to claim it as a tax break, so it can never be released ever again. So
what's funny is this means The Flash is a better movie than the Batgirl movie.
Yeah.
And it's got an absolute psychopath for a leading man. So it's just like,
just real quick, there was a rumor this week that apparently The Flash is more better viewed with the studio execs right now than the Aquaman 2 movie. Now they're talking about making changes to Aquaman 2. That one actually got pushed back, I think, to like next Christmas. So that one's been pushed back for way back. So there's some issues with that Aquaman 2 movie that they're not happy with, but they're
so
somehow
they can cut
happy
Amber
with
Heard out.
I'm all for another glorious character death. So just kill him. So
do it.
Kill the Flash at the end. Give him a nice hero's death. Kill Amber Heard. Give her a nice sacrificial. We're going to war type thing for Aquaman. Go ahead, do it. So
the Sea of Death, that is Sea of Death.
I actually don't like killing characters off that much, but if you have to, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Stakes.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts on this one before we go on to our closer?
Keep fighting censorship. Fuck these people. The reason why they want to do this is because they have no ground to stand on. They're fickle as shit. They avoid any and all debate because once that a debate is established, all their ideas, everything they believe in it fades like in that fucking Avengers movie where Spider-Man fucking shrivels up and flies away. That's literally their arguments in the mass majority of situations. None of these people can actually argue their points. They have no real points to stand on. It's just, I'm right and I don't care, and I will stop anybody who tries to think otherwise. And mock and shame. That's what I love. I'm gonna mock and shame you, and I hope other people do too, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's actually funny because there's like, it's funny to me on that ironic level, because the sequel to like 1984, like somebody wrote a sequel and it was called Big Brother Inc. or Big Brother like 1049 or something, some kind of weird numbers. But it basically like merged the idea of Big Brother into a business, and it's kind of what you see today. And it's like, okay, the chocolate rations have been raised to 3 from 10, so tyrants get a tyrant and haters get a hate. I don't see the battle ending. I don't see it as a worthwhile battle at some level. I think that it's important to be your own person, like Cassie was saying, like, but don't confuse it with like what you look like or who you sleep with or what kind of tattoo you have on your back. So
try building a personality that doesn't evolve around your gender and sexual ideology. Like try that one, and then we'll move from there. Like,
stop it! Like it's always these people that are like, it's like this dude that's like 80 pounds soaking wet with this giant fucking hammer and sickle tattoo on his chest.
Yeah.
Or like a really fat dude with a giant ass beard that looks like if he combed it, like fucking bugs would fall out.
Yeah.
It's always one of those.
Or some weird hipster looking dude who talks about how bad capitalism is, but for some reason wants to argue the age of consent.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah. I saw somebody arguing about that earlier, and they were like, yeah, this is libertarianism for you. And I was just like, oh, no, I hope Cassie or Rob doesn't see this one.
No.
These people are, you have to understand, there's this section of commies that actually convince themselves that they're libertarians. Don't listen to these people.
Oh, I feel that way about progressive Christians. So you're either one or the other.
Definitely some oxymorons out here. Libertarians are the complete total opposite of socialism and communism. They like to think that libertarians are in the middle. That's not the case.
Hold on a second.
I think that Republicans are too far left for me. Okay, I want to be as far away as the socialists and commies as possible.
Hold on a second. You're trying to tell me that the libertarian socialist is an oxymoron? You don't know those guys on social media who are somehow socialist and libertarian at the same time?
These people need to be harpooned like they're beached whales. I'm sorry. Like, stop it.
See,
fucking stop.
And all of that goes, the whole argument is of, like, again, what I said earlier, which is the function of government. And it's like libertarian, you're talking about basically to the right, meaning as little government as possible, as basically as much, it's just as long as society can function. That's basically it. Like, let's just get out, go.
All right, well, we're here at our closer for the night. You can kind of thank Rob for this one because he's the one that brought this story to my attention. While a lot of people were really trying to sweep this one under the radar because this is supposed to be one of Warner Brothers' big 2 releases that are still coming out tonight on top of Black Adam. Somehow they're considering this movie to be their top tier release, but it's the film Don't Worry, Darling, and it's the story about how Olivia Wilde, the director of this movie, may be, and I'm going to use this in term of quotations, a lying bitch. So let's talk about this story.
The quotations may be from a lawsuit, I think, right?
You think?
So Shia LaBeouf calls out Olivia Wilde for lying about his exit from the film Don't Worry, Darling. So this movie that's supposed to come out, I believe, at next month, the end of next month, is one of those movies where it's supposed to be like a feminist thriller. So it's probably one of those films that, from what I've seen from the trailer, is about how bad women had it in the 1950s because they weren't working and getting abortions and stuff like that. Obviously written by women who were born in the 1980s. So This film coming out has Florence Pugh, I think how you pronounce her last name, and if I'm saying that wrong, Spencer can correct me, but Olivia Wilde's also in the film. And in the early stages of this movie, Shia LaBeouf played Florence's husband, who got recast as Harry Styles, and that's a story in and of itself we'll get to in a second. But essentially, during the press junket for this movie, Olivia Wilde came out and said that she had to fire Shia LaBeouf in order to protect the quote-unquote safety of her main star, which is Florence. And what she said in this film, what she said about his quote unquote firing is that she got rid of him because she couldn't handle his creative process. She said that he has a process that in a lot of ways seems to require combative energy. And I don't personally believe that this is conclusive to the best performances. I believe that creating a safe, trusting environment is the best way to get people to do their best work. Unfortunately, my responsibility to the production is to the cast is to protect them. That's my job. So she essentially said that she had to fire Shia LaBeouf because some people didn't exactly feel safe with her around, or him around. Now there was allegations about abuse that Shia LaBeouf had with his ex-girlfriend. What is this? FKA Twigs. I don't know who this person's name is. It's not a normal name, but she alleged like physical, mental, and emotional abuse. So Wilde talks about this. She said a lot came to light after this happened that really troubled me in terms of his behavior, adjusting the situation, particularly with a movie like this. I know that I was going to be asking Florence to be in very vulnerable situations. My priority is making her safe and making her feel supported. So she came out with this whole Variety article throwing Shia under the bus and got a whole lot of queen slaves and feminist hero and things of that nature. Well, Shia himself heard the interview and very quickly, the very next day, contacted Variety to give his side of the story because he claims that he quit the film. He was never fired, and that a lot of the things that the narrative that she was crafting in this interview doesn't exactly match up with what actually happened. So what he said is that the reason why he walked away from the film because he felt like that he couldn't get proper rehearsal time with his co-stars in order to give effective performance for the film. In the email that he wrote for a while that was shared with Variety, he had a completely different side of the story, saying that what inspired this email today is your latest Variety story. I'm greatly honored by your words about my work. Thank you. That felt great, but I'm a little confused about your narrative that I was fired. However, you and I both know for my reasons for my exit. I quit your film because your actors and I couldn't find time to rehearse. I've included the remainder of the screenshots of our tech exchange on that day sent to Toby, which I guess was their contact when they were working together. He goes on to say that, I know that you're beginning your press run for this film, and news of my firing has attracted clickbait. I'm also persona non grata, which remains which I'll probably be remain for the rest of my life, meaning that, he's owning up to that there's a lot of negative press about him. He owns up to that these are things I'm going to have to work on correcting for many, many years. I often think about the news articles that my daughter will read when she's literate, and I owe her for the rest of my life. I will owe for my actions. But these narratives that are promoted out there's a time and place to deal with such things, and I'm trying to navigate a nuanced situation out of respect for her and the truth, she said. But this situation with your film and my firing will never have a court date, which will deal with these facts. If these lies are allowed to repeat themselves in public, they will become truth, which makes it much harder for me to crawl out of the hole that I have dug myself in due to my behaviors and provide for my family. So Shia, we don't know if this is a real face turn we're looking at here, where he's finally owning up to a lot of his, alcohol issues, drug issues, things of that nature. But he is at least taking some responsibility for the things that he's done in his past. He went on to say that the firing never took place, Olivia. I fully understand the attractiveness of pushing this story because of the current social, political landscape, the social currency of things. This is not the truth. There was one little line on here that I hope Spencer kept on here because I think this was it here. So I'm humbly asked as a person with an eye towards making things right that you correct the narrative the best you can. I hope that none of this affects you, your film's success, in all the ways that you want it to be. And I think the line here that I was looking for was basically him saying, the social credit or the social currency of being, the victim and portraying me as a victim and whatnot. So right after he put out that story with Variety, there was a video that leaked online, which allegedly took place 2 days after Shia LaBeouf quit the production. And it's Olivia Wilde essentially making a video trying to convince Shia to come back and work with Florence. So I'm going to play the video here in its entirety. So they were saying this is 2 days after Shia quit, and this is the video that got leaked to the internet. I wonder who leaked it, by the way.
1 million views.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure that this is. I hate Twitter videos sometimes. I don't know why it's doing it. I'm gonna back out and try this one more time. Yeah, for some reason, then that player's lost screen. I'm gonna try it on here. One second, guys.
Oh, we can get our anticipation up. You know?
Yeah, right.
Shia.
There we go.
Shia. I just went riding my horse, very sweaty, but I wanted to reach out because I feel like I'm not ready to give up on this yet, and I too am heartbroken, and I want to figure this out. And you know, I think this might be a bit of a wake-up call for Miss Flo, and I want to know if you're open to giving this a shot with me, with us. If she really commits, if she really puts her mind and heart into it at this point, and if you guys can make peace, and I respect your point of view, I respect hers, but if you guys can do it, what do you think? Is there hope? Is there hope? Will you let me know? Okay, bye.
Doesn't exactly sound like someone who was fired because of their wildly dangerous behavior, doesn't it? It seemed like maybe there's a little bit more to the story that Miss Olivia Wilde didn't want anyone to talk about. Now, before I get to you, your thoughts on this story, I want to throw on the icing of the cake of this whole thing is that we're talking about Florence, who she referred to as Miss Flo, who also has apparently had a falling out with Olivia Wilde because, as a story that Rob we had talked about a couple weeks ago, she was getting asked questions about her love scenes with Harry Styles, and apparently what's going on is that she doesn't like the fact that there's been a lot of questions about the movie about Harry Styles because Olivia Wilde, who is the director of the movie, is in a relationship now with Harry. And there's rumors that that relationship was an affair that started with this film that led to her split with Jason Sudeikis and led to him serving him her not divorce papers, but child custody papers at CinemaCon earlier this year. So not only has she been caught lying about Shia LaBeouf, but apparently her own co-star for the movie that she's promoting in the next couple of weeks is not speaking to her. And she's already announced that she's going to be doing limited press regarding her own film coming out. So there's a lot of things that are working against this movie right now when it comes to the content, all the drama behind the scenes about this film that Olivia Wilde was hoping was going to shoot her up to Hollywood stardom for being the female director. But there's a lot of things going on that are seemingly hurting that case. So I'll let Rob start off this one because, like I said, he's the one that kind of dug up this story, and we brought it to Bounding in the Comics. So what is your thoughts on Olivia Wilde, as we say, being a lying you-know-what?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following this story for about 3 weeks now, and I guess it's because I knew I'm going to ultimately review this movie when it comes out. But, you know, when movies kind of go this promotional route, instead of just celebrating the movie, it's sort of like you're trying to sell the sort of the sexy surroundings of the making of the movie, you know, like this affair, this love, you know, this sort of like spicy love affair with an older woman who's the director, you know, with a pop star, an international pop star. I mean, it's like, it's ridiculously salacious, you know, and then acting like you're so surprised, you're so shocked, you're getting questions about this. It's like, you knew that this was going to be something that people asked you about. And then the whole Olivia Wilde thing where she's basically lying to people to make herself look good as a champion of women, someone looking out for her female stars, her female castmates. And it's like, you're a lying bitch. You're a lying, conniving, manipulative person who's using this to generate juice for your movie, which, hey, I guess you belong in the crowd of soulless Hollywood producers who, you know, do whatever they can to make as much money as they can. So, you know, whatever, I guess, welcome to the club. But, you know, her previous movie sucked. Like Booksmart was not very good. And I don't think much of her as a director. You know, she was an okay actress. This certainly does not make her look any better, and I don't think it does any favors for her movie.
No, Josh, he's not gay. Allegedly.
He's like wearing dresses or something on stage. I don't know.
Yeah, so just real quick, I'll toss this back up to you guys. You know, it's funny because the other side of this story is the affair between her and Harry Styles, who's the co-star of the film. And one funny thing about Me Too is that they wanted to pretend like that they had cleaned this up in Hollywood, that, you know, directors and producers are not sleeping with actors anymore, and they're not sleeping with actors for roles and powerful positions. We clean all that up. It's like, no, the exact same thing is still happening, but because this is happening with Olivia Wilde and she's a woman, we're downplaying the problematic issues about this, because if this was a male director sleeping with his co-star who had an affair and broke up his own relationship and got served divorce papers on stage at Cinemagon, they'll be portraying this a little bit differently than they are with here. So I'll let you guys think about what your thoughts about this whole situation.
Well, when you guys first brought it up, like, I was just like, hold on, Shia LaBeouf is like super notorious for being a method actor and basically using that excuse to be an absolute piece of shit on set. So prove to me that he isn't this time around. And it seems like from what's automatically I'm like, I don't know about this one, but I mean, like, with what's presented, I have to believe that maybe he was just, you know, trying to do his thing and things weren't working out and he walked away. That's what it seems like from the information presented. But I mean, this goes to show, man, that Hollywood is cutthroat as fuck. Shia LaBeouf is in a position where, you know, he kind of messed his career up because of a lot of his actions, and there's a level of natural weakness that comes into that when you're trying to get back into this industry and have any roles at all, really. And they know that they can essentially simply just say, oh, Shia LaBeouf did this and we had to get rid of him, and of course, you know, most people are naturally going to be like, oh, so he's doing the same old shit all over again, you know, sort of deal. And naturally I gravitate to that too, because we know what kind of reputation he has. But when I think it's important that when this is exposed, that people like Olivia Wilde are caught lying, that they should be put on a shit list, because you can't just go around doing this stuff and it be normalized just because, well, it's a guy, so we can get away with it, or it's a white dude, so or a white person, we can get away with it. No, that's not how it goes. Like, you depreciate true victims that deserve justice. And they should know that. They don't care, because it's all about what I can get out of this situation. And this bitch just wanted some quick press out of it. And I'm glad that Shia LaBeouf fired back, because I don't even like him. I don't think he's a good actor. I think he's a shitty method actor. You know, like, method actor. But like, what's right is right.
You
this shouldn't have happened. And I made a video a while back talking about method acting and how it's misused in order to be a complete total prick on set, and just being able to get away with doing stupid things. And he was a part of that video I made a while back. And, you know, there's just too many cutthroats in Hollywood. Hollywood wants to act like we're the bad people. And it's like, you either are the ones that are truly evil, or you know people that are and you just let it go because, well, you just want to be a part of the club. That's why I hate being talked down to by these evil people. They're just evil to me. They don't clean up their own backyard. Therefore, do not walk up to my side of the yard and start pointing things out over it. No, worry about what you got going on over there, because there's a lot of weird, funny shit. And this whole Me Too stuff, that didn't do nothing. Y'all just learned how to hide a little bit better. That's it. But you're still nasty, so go clean your own backyard.
Yeah, Paul, what was your thoughts on this whole thing? I'm not sure how closely you followed any kind of like modern like Hollywood stuff in that regard, but seeing this woman who's trying to project herself to be like this feminist hero and a top female director get caught in her own lie, and not like I said, not even to the point that her own female co-star won't even talk to her because of her own lies behind the scenes.
So we've got accusations being traded back and forth by all parties. Now we've got a leaked phone call. And this is why I'm trying to figure out where I can move to, where there's nobody else around. And I'm trying to figure out how to delete all my social media accounts, all my electronic accounts, all my communications with people are now just yes, no. So because I now expect people I just expect everybody saving every communication so they can come back on you a year later or maybe 13 years later, the old going through the Twitter account and finding something you said 13 years ago, or here's the best ones I like are here's a DM that he sent me back in 2009. And I'm thinking, how can you possibly save that DM from 2009? And how did you know where to find that back then?
Yeah.
But this is, for me, this is just, it's a reminder to the moral of the story that I take away from it is, don't talk to anyone, don't be friends with anyone, and don't say anything to anyone.
Well, just a quick little point in there too. Like you're also dealing with Hollywood, who is an industry that's known for trying to get leverage on people. That's just kind of the way that they operate too. So you can't have your guard down in a place like Hollywood where they can like literally just pull up any kind of DM or video and weaponize it against you, whatever they see fit.
Here's another question I have. Do most people now make video calls? I still use it. I text, but when I call, I don't make a video call. Do most people make video calls? Am I that far behind on technology now?
I still just call people.
I vowed when texting first became popular that I would never text because it was always women that was doing it. I was like, I'll never text. And now, and now everybody wants to text. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll text everybody now. Because I was like, if you want to talk to me, call me. But now, you seem like, oh, there's Grandpa who wants to talk on the telephone. Okay, so I've given up on that. But are people really gone to the video call now, or no?
It really depends. Like me and my best friend will video chat every so often, but like I'm not gonna video chat with my mom and my dad. Like most people, no, obviously not.
Yeah. So, and I think somebody already touched on this. I'm always, is this for publicity? Are they doing this for publicity? Is that what's really going on here?
Well, she did for publicity. I think she didn't expect that Shia was going to come back at her the way that she did.
The way
he did.
And I can never tell with phone calls. I mean, I don't want to give too much into it, but I thought the way I took it from her phone call, it sounded like this is me just offering an opinion. It could be very wrong. I don't want anybody to take it that way. I thought she was saying, it sounded like whatever his name is, and then Florence had a spat, and that Olivia was trying to get those two to work it out so that they could continue. I don't know. This is what I've learned as far as when people start leaking stuff, I get very leery because I never know what the rest of the story is. But to me, I don't know. This is kind of like the Oscar punch on Chris Rock. I still don't know. I mean, I'm told everybody says no, that was for real. But I still don't know if that was for real or if that was just to get everybody talking about the Oscars, which nobody talks about anymore until that happened. So I don't know. I never like to have opinions on these anymore. I used to have opinions on everything, and I try not to have too many opinions anymore, even though that's the whole purpose of me being on here.
Yeah.
But,
what I think happened here is that, like I said, I think most of what Shia said is correct, is that he was unhappy with the way the production was going and decided to walk away. She made a video to try to appeal to him to get him to come back onto the project. Obviously, things didn't work out. So then, like I said, a couple of years later, now they're promoting this movie and there's been allegations about Shia and his behavior. So she tried to use that as kind of like a vehicle to kind of promote herself in this film. And then obviously he took exception to that. So that's what I kind of feel like happened as far as like the most part. Now, there's obviously things going on with like her and her co-star right now that we still don't know everything about, but it's pretty clear that they're not on speaking terms, even though their movie's coming out in a few weeks. So there's another story brewing between those two that's going on that probably has some more heat to it. But that's pretty much what I feel like happened with this whole thing with her and Shia.
Doesn't it all amount to, though, giving this film? I mean, how many people? I heard of it. I saw the trailer for it, but how many people do you think heard of this prior to all this started? Like, is this going to be on more people's radar now?
I mean, like I said, Harry Styles is in it. I know he's super popular, so maybe because he's in it, that there's gonna be people to watch this. But I don't see this being like any kind of like big mainstream hit. I just don't, because none of the people involved with him outside of him are really brand name stars. So it's like, and then it only has like a $20 million production budget, which means they're not putting a whole lot into it right now. So I don't know.
Has a Stepford Wives feel to it too, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it's very much what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
It's the drama, but think about it. It's all the drama surrounding the production. It's not the movie itself, but it's almost as if it's acting as a PR to, hey, we know about this movie now because of the drama, you know. And so I am so cynical that I'm just like, is this like an advanced PR campaign right now?
Yeah, that's what I'm
people
thinking.
To talk about it. You know?
That's what I'm saying. Is this all? How much of this is orchestrated? As far as are they doing this because they know they can go to all their buddies in the media? Because like with Variety and Hollywood Reporter and any Entertainment Weekly, they're all buddies with them. So nothing gets out without them wanting to get out.
Well, what does Shia LaBeouf have to gain from this, though, is my question, because he quit supposedly,
right?
And
right, and that's why I'm more keen to believe that it's true, or that it's not, a farce or a fabricated thing. I will say this, just for the record, I think that with the right material, I think Shia LaBeouf is a very good actor. Honey Boy, which was basically like the story of his upbringing as a child actor and the relationship with his father, I think is really good. There's a few other movies. Peanut Butter Falcon, which came out the same year, was very good as well. I think when he's focused and he's not a mess and the material is good, he can be a really good actor. Florence Pugh is a really good actress. Even though I haven't really liked the movie she's in, I thought she was like the one notable thing about Little Women. But it just sounded like they weren't getting along in terms of their acting styles. And it sounded like she was reaching out to Shia LaBeouf that like, Florence is the problem. She said, Miss Flo. I hate how Olivia Wilde talks, by the way, in that video. And very
condescending.
She seemed like she was being very disingenuous with the whole thing and trying to play everybody, which as a director, if you don't have trust, you have nothing.
Divorce, by the way. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Wasn't LaBeouf the guy who did the whole capture the flag thing? Wasn't he involved with some kind of capture the flag thing and it all went wrong? Can you hear me okay? What was that?
Yeah, we can hear you. What?
Yeah, didn't he do the capture the flag thing? Or he had some kind of flag he was trying to hide, and then the internet users found it. And what was he doing? That's all I can think of.
Oh no, I think he might be. I know like there was this whole incident where like he was like trying to hide, and like 4chan like found him. That was like years ago.
Yeah, that's all I can think of. That's all I can think of, because wasn't he then on video yelling something about they will not control us over and over? He went over.
Yeah, he had that thing right after Trump got elected where he had like this little mic set in New York City where people are just screaming he will not divide us or some nonsense like that.
That's all I see now every time I think of him.
That's why it's hard to defend him. But it's like, you know what? There's all kinds of actors who are just.
Can you guys hear me?
Nut jobs. We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
I can't hear you. Okay.
Our audio didn't go out, did it?
Problems.
Everything's good on this end.
Yeah,
I'll go and speak my piece. Anyway, but I know Shia LaBeouf just came out like this past week as like saying like he's like super Catholic now.
Right. Yeah.
And I can see where a change of heart, especially on that kind of level, would.
If it's genuine, of course.
Provoke something, like where he's like talking about his daughter and how he wants her to be able to see that he's not this terrible person that Olivia is making him out to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, one of my favorite movies, my guilty pleasure movie list is horrendously long, is America's Sweethearts with Billy Crystal and John Cusack. And this is kind of like that plot where they go to the press junket and the movie's not ready, so they have to make all this drama.
Right.
So. Yep. Either way, I think in the end you'll know them by their fruits. So
that's, by the way, I am not religious at all.
Just true thing. We'll see if Shia LaBeouf is really Catholic, and we'll see if Olivia Wilde really is a liar. I mean, and you can see this across time too. Is like people's patterns ultimately catch up to them. That's kind of what I think it is.
All right. Well, any final thoughts about this one before we wrap it up? Any thoughts about just Olivia Wilde or Shia, even the co-star here, which is apparently Spencer's new wife now for some weird reason. So,
yeah, Florence Pugh's a beautiful young woman.
That sounds condescending when you say it, so it's like
even compliments sound like insults coming out of my mouth. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what is he gonna say? He's gonna say something terrible to buttress that compliment. So no, she's a beautiful young woman. She's talented. I think she's a good actress. I hope she has a nice career going forward. Olivia Wilde seems like she has some issues, and Shia LaBeouf also has some issues. So, I just hope everybody gets the help they deserve or need.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of does seem like Shia LaBeouf wants to clean up his act. He wants to earn his spot back in Hollywood, and it seems like he wants to run a cleaner campaign, I guess. So, yeah. I mean, if he's genuine about that, I believe in redemption. I think that, if he's genuine, that he should be given another chance. And I don't think that this bitch, if she's truly lying, should be able to stop him from having that opportunity, because unfortunately, Shia LaBeouf put himself in a situation where it's unfortunately easy to be stabbed in the back in this sort of way. And hopefully he can build himself up for this to not be so easy, for him to not be an easy chip to toss by any means. But I hope that, if it's true that Olivia Wilde is full of shit, that she gets what she deserves, because screw that, man. That's Hollywood's cutthroat place, and I think everyone can. I think the best thing you can get out of this is just in life in general, don't put yourself in the same situation Shia LaBeouf put himself in.
I will say this, though, something to what you said. It's like, okay, I get the guy wanting to clean up his act, but at the same time, just like you said, it's like, but he wants to still work in Hollywood, where it's like, okay, well, how authentic is his trying to clean up his act if he's trying to stay in the same place, which is only going to lead to either a relapse or just simply just a PR campaign where you're trying to make people believe that, oh, he's not that same guy anymore, but get him.
What can he do though?
Right, he's an actor.
He can't. He's Shia LaBeouf. He can't just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna work at Dick's Sporting Goods now. Sadly, it don't work that way. His options are limited,
Maybe he should go work for like a Hallmark movie for a little while, so I can see that he's actually surely changed his ways. But no.
No.
Lifetime television for women.
Together, A Passion of the Christ too. So there you go.
Well, I mean, yeah, as long as Mel Gibson is in it.
How is that a thing, though? I still don't get it.
I could kind of see it, but
Passion of the Christ too.
Yeah, like the book, like
I think we covered everything in the first one. I don't know. I think there's much
Didn't Family Guy? Hold on. Didn't Family Guy do that bit, Passion of the Christ too, where Jesus comes back and like shooting up everybody, and just that was fantastic.
It would probably be a better movie.
So I just wanted to say real quick, I'm not religious at all, but that one biblical quote I keep very close to my heart is, "By their fruits you will know them." Because it was very true under COVID, and just in general, I think it's true, where it's like, just watch what people do, not what they say. Watch what people do, and you will know so much about, where they stand, what their values are, etc.
Yes. A lot of people like, and that's why, like, when people like with all the virtue signaling that goes on, it does make me kind of like, roll my eyes. Oh, this again, because it's the same thing like you were saying, Jacob and Cassie, about like the power dynamics might have shifted, but it's still the same old game of the casting couch and, just degeneracy that's being monetized.
The couch has not changed at all. They just cleaned it up a little bit and made it look a little more shiny.
They put some throw pillows over it.
Yeah. they put some satin on there because of how the gender thing is flipped, but it's still there. It's still the couch, people. So that's how you want to get in if you want to get in Hollywood. Sleep with your producer or director. But we've reached the end of our show here. We had a pretty good discussion tonight. We had a lot of good topics. So before I go ahead and chill out all my crap that I got coming out, I'm going to give everyone a chance to chill out their crap that they have coming out. So I'll start off with Miss Johnson. Where can they find more of your stuff? Where can they find all your lovely books coming up?
Just, honestly, I got all my links on Twitter, and come follow me on YouTube. So, I will get something.
You have a lot of good little impressive looking books you got there. You got the Slumbering, you got the Slumbering 2, you have the Slumbering 3, you have Continuing. There's a lot of good stuff on there. But yeah, no, definitely check out Johnson's book. She writes a lot of great fiction books if you're into that.
I'll try. So it's not terrible.
Mr. Paul Hare, I know you're writing for Abounding in the Comics, but is there anything else that you want to promote that you have? I see you have a book yourself. Tell people more about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit small there. I probably should have chosen something bigger, but if you can't read it, it says Thor versus the Valkyries, and then there you can see my name. That's my name, how you spell it. You can find me on Gab, the same name, at Paul Hare. At Thor versus the Valkyries is my very short story, and I did it to show this is what we should be doing. Everybody can complain about what you see out there. This is a book that's full of action, adventure, treachery, and revenge. And it's not woke, but it's not preachy as well. So go to Amazon, buy it. And then, like I said, you can follow me on Gab at Paul Hare. And, of course, at Bounded Into Comics.
I read it, and I liked it.
Thank you.
That's the user review, folks, right there. Speaking of someone who are bullying into creating more content, Mr. Rob Motto, I think has an announcement that he wants to make about content he's going to be making in the future. Isn't that right? Does he want to make their announcement now?
Not really. I'm just going to be trying to make some. But yeah, I'm going to have the first review out on Friday. That'll be coming out on my Twitter. And then I'm going to have another review coming out next week as well. I'm going to do one a week, kind of like build myself up. And then hopefully I'll be doing a YouTube channel where I can talk about more current things or just, extrapolate more on what I want to talk about. But yeah, for right now, I'm looking forward to seeing Jaws in IMAX on Sunday and reviewing it with Jacob and a bunch of other people. So I'm just looking forward to it and check it out.
And speaking of someone who has a mildly successful YouTube channel, our final guest of the night, Cassie, how you doing? Where can they find more of you?
Well, if you want to engage in more of the cult classic Cage assholery, you can find me over on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And I think I'm probably going to be on the movie review stream for Jaws because I will shill that movie. It's better than most things people shill nowadays. Let's just put it that way. So
it's true.
Yeah, you find me here, find me on my channels, whatever, bro. It's all good.
All right, then finally, let me let you guys know we got more coming up on this channel tomorrow at Wednesday. So it's Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're gonna have a few people to talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the Japanese version Super Sentai. So I know Miss Johnson, who's the person who you're seeing right here, is definitely wants to get all on that show. So you may be seeing her tomorrow night as well. Nerdigans, who's one of our good buddies at Bounding in the Comics, is also going to be on that show tomorrow. Then we've got a few other people. We're going to talk about the Power Rangers phenomenon in the 1990s. And we're going to talk about the Japanese show that inspired a lot of it. So that's going to be a pretty fun discussion tomorrow. Then immediately following that, we'll be on the Black Pill stream on Bounding in the Comics YouTube. Myself, John, Spencer, Josh, we're all going to be talking about the news of the day. So that's going to be on Bounding in the Comics at about 9 o'clock tomorrow. Next Monday, we're going to be back for the movie review club, but we're going to be talking about Jaws because, as you guys know, there's not a lot of good movies coming out this weekend. So we decided we're going to flip it up, do a classic review, and we're going to be talking about the old super classic monster movie, Jaws. The first one is going to be in theaters. So I suggest you guys take advantage of that $3 movie day that's going to happen this Saturday and go watch Jaws again. So
do you know Jaws has one of the best 4K releases, thus far, period?
Yeah.
It's literally amazing. Steven Spielberg himself worked on it. Why the hell am I going to go to the movies and watch that bullshit on that screen where I could watch it on my sexy ass 65-inch TV in 4K with all the bells and whistles?
See, you everything you said about Jaws was wonderful up until that moment when you're like, hey, fuck the theater and like watch it on your TV, which it wasn't made for. It was made for a movie theater. Go see it in a movie theater.
My TV is a fucking movie theater experience in my home.
I have a 65-inch TV too and a 4K Blu-ray player, so I get it. But I'm just saying, I would recommend the theater going experience because it was made for that, and it's more immersive, it's more impactful. But hey, I'm a visual creature, so do what you will.
Well, I also do want to make the note right here that Josh is dealing with a battle of the coof, so he probably won't be on tomorrow. But maybe we'll find somebody else who will be open sometime tomorrow. Maybe if there's someone who's I don't know, not doing anything that Spencer would allow to be on the show, maybe they can be on tomorrow. Maybe we'll have somebody else who can fill in and replace Josh, because I mean it's not like we can't replace Josh. I mean, he's very easy to be replaced. Maybe there's somebody on this podcast here I'm just teasing some stuff. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that we could be doing something else without him. But I just want to go ahead and thank all you guys for joining me here tonight. Thank you guys for giving my time. For those who will be joining us tomorrow night to be talking about Power Rangers Super Sentai, I will see you tomorrow. For those who want to get all in about that Josh conversation, I'll see you guys on Monday night. Until then, I'm going to go ahead and hit the outro because Josh is sick. So let's go ahead and get him with the little spring yard. We will see you guys tomorrow night here on the YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, wherever you guys can find you. Good night.